that they can't have a little bit better of a map pool to go into this.
Actually, perfect segue. Just almost like everything is planned here. I have to review my usual spots there, the score lines, how they'll be later on. L2K picking Cafe first, Union going for Clubhouse, and Villa is our decider. So going a bit outside of the usual proverbial box chess. Cafe comes in first, L2K's pick again. Good. How does that fare versus Union?
I like
you gotta look back at when they played at the lower bracket final and they went head to head and UnionGaming 2-0'd L2K on this particular best of 3. They played Cafe as the last map, but it went to OT. So if L2K are going, okay, we've already played you on this map before. We might not have won, but it got damn close. We know what our mistakes are and we know how you play. They've got to either hope that they've bettered their strategies, and number 2, that UnionGaming play the exact same way so that they can counter them. Otherwise, they go into yet another occasion where, okay, they've done a map pick, but all of a sudden their opponent isn't doing what they expected and things start to go down the drain.
Yeah, these are the same 3 maps that they had in the last draft as well. Different order, admittedly. It was Villa, Cafe, Club last time. Here it's Cafe, Club, and Villa. The one thing that I'm slightly worried about for L2K is in that series they had last time, it ended 7-4 and then 8-6 across the 2 maps. There were only 2 attacking rounds taken in the whole thing. So knowing how it's going to shape up for L2K here, we need to see much better attacks than what we saw previously. You cannot sit here and rely anymore on your defense to be the one, because if UnionGaming are taking 1 or 2 rounds, that's 1 or 2 rounds that you aren't getting when you're the ones on the attack, and that's how you end up losing maps.
And actually, just to add things on top, L2K is starting off on the attack on Cafe Dostoyevsky. So you got to live with that. You got to work with it.
It's your map pick. I mean, you don't get the choice, and 9 times out of 10, you're going to get stuck on the attack. So if they're not very good on the attack, they've got to have some good mentality for the second half.
Unless you're in APAC North, but that was a couple of days ago. Let's not mention that again. Justice, thank you so much for your intel. Hap and Fluke await us for our second and final matchup of this day. Cafe Dostoyevsky between L2K and UnionGaming. Let's take it away.
Thank you very much, Milos and the desk team. Thank you. Hey, now we get to look towards the future, and we get to look towards the final semi-final, the final game of the day, and the first of this semi-final showdown. There's the word final thrown in as many times as possible, and very soon we'll be thrown into the game too. Cafe Dostoyevsky is the start of all of our path, of course, and what do you think we're going to experience?
That is the true question here. What will we see? Because it's been a while since we have seen these teams. UnionGaming had a bit of a rough start throughout their nationals, which was, of course, the qualification for the 6th major here. And they need to make sure that it's all, properly built up now. Because if it's not going to be the case, L2K might just knock them out. And if that would happen, they would not be able to make it to the 6th Invitational, because they are the only team of this region that could make it. And that means that if UnionGaming lose here right now, MIBR would be confirmed.
It's crazy how it all boils down to it, because we had it obviously yesterday, where there was a lot of watching games and a lot of kind of confirmation of who actually makes it based on the success and failures of teams. It obviously confirmed G2 and locked them in. Oxygen as well, we're another team here. But MIBR have the final step of this play. Oh, that's what it stands for, if you're curious. At the top, live to kill, L2K. UnionGaming, well, that one's pretty straightforward. As is that.
So learn to kill.
Learn to kill, live to kill.
Yeah, that's what I thought first, because you have L2P, which is like learn to play. So I was like, it has to be that. But no, it's live to kill. There we go. All right. Learn something new every day.
A Jaeger ban and an Ash ban. Somewhere I hear Zeronic. I hear him go. It's just nodding.
Yes, let's go, boys.
You know, like the nod that like the wise man with the beard does. Like that kind of nod. That's what he's just given right now.
It's just like these are my boys.
These are my boys. These are my boys. And there goes the boy Jaeger off the board. Ash as well, which is going to limit certain things. You've got to look at that as, the traditional look at that as, take that, Ash Jaeger mains. But also in the sense of it, think of shields, think of utility, think of the heft that Ash now can't pop in. A lot is going to fall into the reliance of Zofia from range and talented frag grenade plays. So It's going to make things like Wamai, it's going to make things like those shield holds so much tougher to hold. Okay, yeah, Jaeger's gone, but it's still a big blow towards the mobility that you can apply the pressure towards things like the shield on Pixel. It makes Zafir much more valuable, even though Jaeger's off the board.
It does, of course, make Sophia a lot more valuable. Also, due to the fact, however, that the Ash has been removed, basically it all comes down to Sophia right now, because you do not want to use your grenades or just purely your grenades to try and take down those shields. Of course, they're often used for that, but if you can avoid using those grenades in that case and, you know, save them in the back pocket to try and clear out a player, for example, behind the cupcake counter, that would be way more valuable, because, you know, an impact grenade is not going to do that trick. But you got to keep in mind as well, there is still the Wamai on the board. There's still 5 discs that will be tossed out. They are, of course, generated throughout the round, but it is a must pick now. You are not going to be running without any grenade or projectile denial, because that is just too big of a risk for potential smoke executes or all those grenades to be coming in.
Sparko heading to the top floor, a very confident player, was what a lot of people said. He is obviously the man behind the brains in the IGL of the team for Union. Last checked, and he's got a lot of confidence, I think it's fair to say, that came across from his interviews and comes across in his play, and now is the game to try and make the mark. Pulling some aggression with the Kaid on the entrance onto the dining window as it's just being held and held onto by Nos from range, fires a few bullets, but the spread of blue bodies all the way around that floor and the slow approach of the rest of the red means that he can't really get too much further. You can see Skippers offering some drone support on the opposite side as they try and enter via the garage entrance, but for now, it's just a slow and steady approach, clearing as much of this base northeasterly corner, coat room, getting dining, and then potentially pushing round into VIP to make sure it's all under their stead.
Definitely looks so far as they would be going for a freezer take, maybe walking through the door as well, but Jittery's still up there. It's going to be re-fired now by Jay, who will be able to pick up that kill with the Hibana. That is the opening kill here for Lift to Kill. Them up one at least against, well, UnionGaming, but it's X7 that manages to respond. He is that beast with the UMP, plays it ever since that August major, never really went off of it, this time with that castle, of course, due to the fact that the 1.5 is available.
Yeah, that's the thing. EX7 has such big ability in terms of just the plays he was making, the kills he was able to put down before, and it's great to potentially see all of that again, when at the very beginning of the day we highlighted the skill and the caliber of the ability to just put bullets into your opponents. He was one of the names that was frequently decorating our scoreboard. A minute 10 on the board as they're looking towards this freezer hatch in the take. As we said before, still the holding windows and a bit of concern as they pop over the shoulders and make sure nobody's on the close corners. Sink is one of the covers, but it's actually the drop from above that gets it before the trade comes out from Nos. Pushes in through the smoke, but gets caught by the end of it as Sparko lies and waits and enjoys himself inside coffee. Now then, 50 seconds, and you've lost 4 bodies over the course of 20 of those, and you're looking at how you can take a 2 versus 3. They're trying to reevaluate the push and the pressure, looking towards the possibility of bakery, but it's still Skipper with the windows above, and Sandy has taken up the mantle of the hatch.
Are you ever? Blank will be able to pick up yet another kill. Sandy will go down. That is the top floor control that UG had now gone. No longer can they cover the diffuser from 2 different angles, and that means there's an opportunity here for Skipper to try and recover it. And as he does so, Sparko doesn't seem to have a clue. And right now, Blank and Skipper are trying to get together, but Sparko pops up, gets 1 kill, instantly gets down, however, and it's only up to Pete right now, up against Blank, as the diffuser will be recovered in these last 5 seconds. The smoke canister will be there to reply and deal some damage, meaning he needs to go aggressive, but the shotgun pops up behind that shield, picks up the kill. Blank will go down, and that is the first round for UG. However, it was quite a close one in the end.
It's one of those things nowadays that when a round comes down to a smoke player and a smoke main, it's way less common than it used to be. You think of the days back when it was old Oregon and you could dig in onto the laundry stairs and all of these positions, and nowadays seeing the smoke be the lockout at the end of the round, that was a great example of it. Beat had 2 canisters that in a way completely swung how the push and how the plant on utility came. It was both towards a default plant, as it would in my aforementioned example, but at the same time, look at how it played out. The first one, as the drop came through, as they tried to force and funnel their way in towards that default site. It didn't just stop the diffuser going in, it also caught the Zephyr. That time as well there. They wanted to pick it up and dig it in behind the chassis, but holding onto your utility and using it at the right time, a book of things you love to see as a defender.
All right. That is indeed often the danger of a smoke. Sometimes they hold on too long to their canisters. Sometimes they use them too early. It is, you know, a fine balance between the two. Like, when is it justified to use one of them? Because sometimes you have people popping off a smoke canister in literally the first 30 seconds of a round just to try and, well, deny 20 seconds of the Heart Breacher's time. And you're like, well, that wall's going to open up anyway. I'm not really sure if that was the right choice. For example, you can see that sometimes on Clubhouse when a Maverick starts to, well, draw its lines. But this was indeed perfectly played. You force him into the other direction because, well, default plan is no longer an option. And basically you shepherd him into your gunfire that way. You don't have to worry about multiple angles as you know where he will be coming from.
Yeah, putting them in an awkward position and then being able to pull them apart from that situation. Popping up with a shotgun at the right time. Perfect. But here is par for the course. Going in with the top heavy clear as they go towards the library site this time round. Catching a lot of loose and wild players and bits of movement here from UnionGaming. They seem quite happy to play themselves in not just roam situations, but almost held roam situations. We saw 2 bodies on top of the hatch before, and the second was caught in a situation where he almost didn't expect or try to counter the play being pushed upstairs. Sure, they dropped the diffuser inside, but they still had 50 seconds, which is a lot of time in this game of Siege. And, well, I guess it's one of those things where is that something, that lapseness on the defense, something that might cost them if Live to Kill start to step up on those pinches and pincers better?
Of course, we have to remember the nature of this map is defense-sided, and with 90 seconds left onto the clock, Live to Kill needs to start putting down some pressure on the actual site, start opening up onto those verticals. There's still quite a bit of drones available for them to use as a grenade is being cooked in, but it bounces back. Will be dealing a little bit of damage, possibly. No, actually no damage done to Live to Kill members themselves, but it ended quite badly.
I think it was saved by Wamai. They actually pulled it down the corridor away from him. But yeah, now Fatals is found his way in. Iana is going to send themselves in through and get the drone. He has the diffuser, but he doesn't really have true cover yet. Blanco's pushing aggressively, but it's Fatals who gets the man through the floor. EX7 is gone. There's a quick rotation and a quick possibility here as they finally do have somebody back. So the worry of him being dropped without the diffuser there is kind of played through. There was the concern that if the man underneath had got the diffuser above and had his sights on it, with obviously the utility like that Maestro cam still up, well, it could have made the game and the dangerous dance of explosives much easier for those underneath. But so far, so good. Live to Kill find their second. Beat goes down. Both English operators off the board. And I talk about how well the utility was played previously. This time we'll see none of it as the smoke canisters are taken off early. Jittery inside the site, gets one, gets traded from above. The verticality still not being paid enough attention as another Union player falls to it. But with only 15 seconds, it's still a 3 versus 2. And they're going to dig down. The 2S players are going to try and hold on as the diffuser goes down too. The Claymore catches Sandy, and now it is only Sparko. He's waiting and holding on, but it's a little bit too late as the diffuser gets planted, get played post-plant for the first time today, but not for very long. Live to Kill find their first round.
Wanted to use the Maestro as you would use an Echo offsite, and that moment in time when you're in a 1-on-4 situation, hoping to siphon out those last few seconds by denying that plant. However, it was not the default plant. That was where the Evil Eye was placed for. It was right behind the actual Evil Eye in his field of view, so there was no way that he could have tried to go for the cancel there. And that is where Echo would have been the better operator. Of course, still banned, so no opportunity of picking him up. But it does show that they are trying to work around it, as otherwise, surely that operator would have been there.
Gonna study some more books and go back to the reading room. Not taking the top floor, which is obviously in other regions the standard first site. It's often seen as being a very solid hold, and even if it's expected, it's still a very good site. You can dig yourself in with utility and kind of lock yourself down, but UnionGaming aren't playing that. They're not going to try and play themselves there yet. They're instead going to double down onto reading and see if they can get this one cracked. And then after that, if they do get it, they still have the option to then go back down to the kitchen, which was the first one. Came down to a 1 versus 1, but still something that they've won, which they didn't quite manage to do last time here. I'm curious to see what positional changes happen from the hands of UnionGaming, if any, because there doesn't really seem to be any structural changes.
Just continuing what they are doing, hoping to take out the gunfights this time around. It can often be something like that, right? Just a small little detail that basically elevates the opposing team into the situation they got in, which is winning that round. And I would say that if the top players play a little bit more passive or, you know, try and refrag one another, there might be an opportunity here for UnionGaming to make sure that this time around they are actually going to be able to pick up the round against L2K. Because, well, as you saw, the verticality came in quite clutch for them.
Well, Skipper on the top floor sends some wood to space and starts to set himself up. The pre-planted C4 almost drops him. No kill confirmation there, so EX7 drifts away and Skipper lucky to escape with his life. That was played so pitch perfectly by EX7, and it's just one of those coin flips that today goes into the favor of Live to Kill.
Indeed, will survive. Skipper able to still use that sledgehammer. He's a very important operator for this site right here as Black moves in with the Gemini. He's going to be able to spot out the player with Sparko. Finding out that Jittery is actually quite close and having the opportunity to try and back him up. And as they're falling back towards the actual hatch now, they're trying to play the long game. They're trying to just waste as much time as they possibly can before they fall back to the bottom floor where the actual site will be. Floor below, I have to say, considering we are in reading and not on the ground floor. And as the EX7 is walking around here, just lurking, the MP5 is hoping to find an angle on one of these members of UG that could be a little bit too far off of the actual plan that they would like to execute on.
Well, they've been able to get into the same positions this time, and this was the thing I wanted to talk about from Union, was the positional differences. At this point previously, that had already had 2 players caught by the same approach. Now, they have Sparko offering some resistance and resilience on the top floor. Hits one, hits Iana, and that's going to give the game away to a couple of others, but he's behind a shield. He's behind fortifications. There's still Wamai there too, so this first frag grenade is going to get caught as it goes through. The second one is going to try and catch him instead, and doesn't quite make the mark. It's Fadals that finds Beat, and there's the pickup on EX7, and there's the accidental frag grenade. Too much too soon, and it costs them dearly. 30 seconds left as they now look in the 3 versus 3, but they're still on the second story. They need to find a way down to actually get the diffuser down. Now, as he's drifting around the pillar side to look for the drop, making sure nobody's playing on the pillar stairs, he finds a little bit of an entrance, pops the camera and pops the wall in unison as he's caught dropping into the laundry. There's one more for Jittery, and now it's only the Habana left. Swings round onto the back of Mozzie, gives the game away on where he is, locks the kill, but you assume it's this momentary pickup does find them. There was one more player though.
There's always one more, Fluke. There is always that one extra person you would need to find in that case, and there you had it, the Maestro. Still alive this time, and this time it managed to win him the round, considering that the previous 2 players dropped. We are going to kitchen again, still avoiding the top floor as a whole. However, if Union manages to win this one, they will be forced to go to a tertiary bomb site, considering, well, they haven't been forced so far with the current rotation parameter. Objective rotation parameter is the full word, actually. Full sentence, I guess. Full naming?
I mean, technically, you could say
it's
that
not
about
a sentence because it doesn't have a verb in it.
Is that what legally makes a sentence?
Yeah, a sentence needs to have a verb
Listen, if you're trying to teach English, you wouldn't be the English teacher of what Siege talent would teach what subject. We already discussed this the other day. Your maths, 100%.
I'll step back into maths and statistics.
Yeah, your maths and statistics. Jess is business studies. Jess is PE, physical education, sports. Milosh has to be languages.
Milosh, tell us what a verb is.
No,
Thank you.
not
sentence.
like
I mean, not a verb.
international languages. I guess I'm biased because I'm doing this from from an English school's perspective. Talking of perspectives, one of the ones that I would like to cast everybody's eye to is the late push aggression that's coming out from Live to Kill. All of these executes so far kind of have happened in these final 20 seconds, at least those two on the reading room site. This time, they're obviously back down to the kitchen, and that time it was a little bit earlier. They pushed around the 50-second marks, around the minute mark, and it obviously didn't go well, so then had to realign themselves for a secondary push, which happened in the dying throws. That one is less incidental and coincidental. I'm curious to see if they try and play a little bit slower. The answer is no, as they instantly enter and push their way straight through into VIP and decide to take Sparko for the trouble.
I call that profit. Quick and effective. 1 minute, you're already managing to take down Sparko. He was a big player the last time that UnionGaming was around here. Now with 2 minutes left, it is UnionGaming under pressure suddenly. They don't have any control of the garage. You see Sandy being afraid of someone potentially peeking the area. And as Blank moves through from Kojak, he has the opportunity to just sneak into the site as well. Unless EX7 is going to be able to change that up. He's, of course, playing right above those red stairs, has the opportunity to rotate down and do some huge damage to both Nos and to Blank, who are playing around that area.
Ooh, quick sprays happening over this battle on the window across the dining room table, but currently seems that nobody is hungrier than the other as of yet. JV is looking for this entrance onto Jittery, and Jittery is just going to play the Wamai on the window, try and catch whatever gets thrown through next. Concerned about these throwables, but no longer concerned about the Hibana. Eats them up over the table and decides to try and stay for seconds now. As Skip is the one with the frag grenades over the top, catches into the sink, but it's actually Fatals that finds Sandy. Beat has pulled it back right to the far side, and the little walk-in section on prep, and there's the swing round onto the red stairs, though. Another one falls. UnionGaming's rough roam game is really starting to struggle as one more goes down. Now it is only Beat, the man who was able to pull the round last time with his round-defining smoke canisters. Only has one left in 50 seconds. The plant's going down. He does not hear it, but he does look for the firefight over the bakery. Doesn't quite catch it, though, and now in a post-plant situation, he's at least able to drop one before we truly get there. 3 more left to go through, but no time to do it. Live to Kill take their second after shutting down what was a very loose roam.
It was a very loose roam indeed, and I was just looking at EX7, what he was doing right there in the freeze. I was confused when I saw that. It's opened up. I mean, you might be able to catch one off guard, but looking at the way that they are able to just swing on these members that are going for roams and flanks every single time and likes to Live to Kill, it shows me that their information game is on point. They know exactly where they are coming from. They know exactly when these flanks are coming in. So potentially pre-placed drones are a huge deal. And EX7 trying to go for a very weird position right there. I mean, it could have paid out, but it definitely costed them that round in the end, because there would have still been an opportunity to come back with a 2v4. And a 1v4, that's suddenly a lot different.
Cafe is very often cited as being a defender-sided map. It's one which offers defenders quite a lot of room to build themselves and structure the lockdown that they need to do, and often seen as a 4-2 split. Live to Kill have already done enough to ascertain the average and get themselves locked in towards the possibility of having a good stead as they go to their defense. But to be honest, with how aggressive they've been, and as I've said before, in a way how loose the defense of UnionGaming has looked at times, I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to pull a little bit more. They seem to be leaning in to this aggressive firefight game against Live to Kill Union. They're playing a couple of players in these, as you said, hyper-aggressive positions, which can work. We've seen EU teams, and I believe it was the recent CL Showdown, where in a 5 versus 2 situation, the 2 remaining UK players opted to head up the stairs and pull away from the site and try and double down. They go aggro, and it can work, but it's not working, and that's the lesson that needs to be learnt here, and it's down to Union how quick they can kind of piece it together, that where they're succeeding is having these rounds come very late. Live to Kill, they're quick when they sense opportunity, but have seemingly been a little bit slow and stuttered if the opportunity's a bit locked down.
Right, slowing down just a little bit on the likes of Live to Kill. They know they have to attack this side, but they also know it's bottom floor. And they potentially are aware of the amount of roamers that should be around. I can count at least 3 on the side. Don't see anybody quickly. 4 on the side. Don't see a 5th one anywhere on the roam. But there you have it. One of those drones in a position to show that they are indeed having these flank watches up, as all 5 are near or around the site. That allows them to just slowly take control. You don't need to move any faster in that case. Just drone everything out, make up your plan, and try to engage from there. Skipper, again, most likely will be tossing in a grenade as the pings are coming through. He's asking for a flush of the potential Wamai discs that could be around. As a second grenade, or basically his first grenade, will be used to well, deal with the Wamai disc, and hopefully the Electroclaws does not do it. All right, just had to quickly double check that. They still managed to open up the wall, though. So they still have a breach. They still have something they could go for in these last 70 seconds. And this is when the pressure starts coming down, when Nos, also from Kojak, will be opening up extra angles.
And this is what I'm talking about. The defense here from Union, it was solid lockdown. They weren't playing themselves on these loose aggressive positions and roams. They said, okay, this is our hold and try and take it. And this is where L2K seemed to struggle. Sure, they've been able to get the freezer open, but without the bodies done from Coffee and Sink, they don't have the clean entrance that they used last time to get themselves in. They're being hesitant about their use of their utility, and when presented with the problem, they can't quite find the solution quick enough, and that's going to lead to a very stressful 20-second push. There's quick trades happening, a body apiece as they fall inside the red corridor. A grenade finds one more, but Jittery gets one, and Fatals finds the lock 2. A 2 versus 2, as we find ourselves dug in by the chassis. EX7 not too far away. Is he aware? And he is there as he pops up, gets the planter, and now it's only the Maverick. Hops in, but gets caught out as UnionGaming find their 3rd.
EXE7 just... Oh, he was just hiding. He was just staying patient, waiting for the call to come through that the plant was going down. At that moment, just hopped up, get that kill, and basically forced the last attacker to become a bit reckless. Needs to make a play in that moment in time. Can no longer just rely on holding angles to try and go for the cover. And that's a bit of misdroning coming out. Misinformation, lack of information, whichever of the 3 it will be. But it did result into a win for UG. And that means that they at least managed to get 3 rounds this half. Of course, you still want to have 4 at the minimum for your defensive side.
Well, 3-2. Can you push it to 4? Reading is where we're going to head to again. You learnt your lesson on this before, but as we saw, confidence seemed to strike the second time. You headed to kitchen. So, which UnionGaming are we going to see? The questions are pitched and pondered as we stroke chins and stare towards slight adaptations on the setup. The main one is that mirror. That is going to be a curious play and placement here. They've dropped Maestro for the first time and instead opted for something that can be a little bit quicker, a little bit more threatening. And as something that I cited that I really enjoyed before, it's so hefty to approach. It takes a lot of coordination and a little bit of chutzpah to get against the mirror, because not just the question of is anyone behind there and the utility that costs to answer that, it's if they are, how do you approach without just getting swung onto?
Big questions. Let's see if we get the answers. As again, Live to Kill. Approaching the building, just, you know, as usual. Considering they have to get inside at some point. And the question now is, how will they approach this site? Like, are they going for top-down clear? Something that is, you know, what they have been doing the last times around. Did get punished a bit by a pre-placed C4. This time that will not be the case. Jittery will be playing up there. It's a bit of a different hold, I believe. We do not see the same shields being set up around the cocktail bar. We do see a mirror. Where are those windows being deployed? Or where have they been deployed, as both already been put down?
Now as they try and push themselves onto Pixel, they were quite quick in their approach before. The grenade is going to be popped over the shoulder, caught by Wamai. They aren't really burning those charges. For the team that wanted to limit the amount of things that could be burnt, they're not really playing against it too much. They're kind of saying, well, now we can throw frag grenades and at least, you know, 2 of the 4 might make it through. EX7 takes a lot to try and thread that C4 into Cigar, but doesn't quite get it. It's actually the pickup from JV who is able to catch them on the big old train window.
C4 costed him his life right there. I was going to say, at least he managed to get away alive, even though he picked nothing up, but that is not even going to be the case either. Because right now, you see the rest of L2K, they're trying to take that control of that top floor. They see that mirror window, they realize this is an issue that we need to deal with. And as one more gets spotted out on the white stairs, a grenade gets tossed out. Sandy actually walking right back into it, but managing to survive and not take too much damage will keep the dreams of UG alive. There's still this mirror window around here. Grenade gets tossed in, dealing a lot of damage down to Jittery, and the window will open up as well. It's going to be able to put up even more pressure there. Picked up eventually.
Well, Jittery did well to dig themselves in, and it's such a haphazard way of using frag grenades, I think. They've obviously, as I said, limited with the Jaeger ban and said, well, we're not going to have too much to burn through, and then we're just going to throw frag grenades and look for success. They know where people are, and they know where to hit them, but they're not really doing it with precision. They're more doing it as big threats, and the threats are working, because it's pushing UnionGaming into uncomfortable situations and leading to moments like this, a 5 versus 1, all down for Beat to try and clutch out. With only 13 seconds, the smoke is more than capable unless that happens. The cover was there. Nos is able to end the round, and L2K are able to get 3 on their attack.
Very good half right here from L2K to start off this first half of their semi-final. On that first map. There is still a lot of rounds to be played here today for them, but at least they managed to get these 3 attacking rounds in, and they will be very valuable. Now they just got to make sure that they manage to lock out these series, or this map, on this defensive half. They only need 4. It is what we normally would require from a team on a map like Cafe. 4 defensive rounds would be the minimum, so it should be doable. It should be possible. And especially with the way that they're currently shutting down UG time and time again.
Well, the site that I cited as being pretty good for a lot of teams is going to be the first on the board for L2K. Heading to the top floor, and the 6th pick to the Blackbeard is very worrying. When you look at all the windows, when you look at all the places a Blackbeard can sit. Blackberry also works because Jittery is playing the role too. I'm just trying to make excuses for why my brain decided to meld those 2 words together.
It happens to me all the time, don't worry about it.
Yeah, but you're speaking in a second language. I'm not. I cannot
really use that as an excuse, can I?
Yeah, I mean,
you know, I'm still casting here, you know, I need to speak English properly.
But at the same time, it's more understandable.
Yeah, okay.
You, someone who is speaking in not your native tongue, sometimes combines phrases, whereas me, who... Oh yeah, that Z-ping, baby. That Z-ping that almost cost the life of the man on the close window. Went for something bold, beautiful, brilliant, but came up blank, unfortunately.
Nice one.
Thank you.
Very nice. All right, but yeah, no, I don't know if you remember the match that we've had yesterday where a Zofia got banned and we saw the Blackbeard coming out to play.
Yeah, but that was like a target ban situation, yeah. That was, they banned off Shael's main, so Shael went, well, screw you guys, I'm playing Blackbeard.
But what if it's Jittery's main, the Blackbeard? That could be proving very troublesome here for L2K. Because we all know he has that face shield, which is going to be giving him basically 60 extra HP, which is 2 to 3 shots of a gun. That could be just enough to just flick onto someone or make that micro adjustment and make sure that you win that gunfight. You have 2 of them as well, so there should be 2 gunfights that you win by default.
Well, that's the setup, and the question is where he's going to be played. EX7 struggles as he's caught almost entirely by the man looking through the vertical. Nos is playing towards the main white stairs that become a big sense of terror for anyone that gets a little bit too close. More bullets peppered through the vertical, but they can't quite seem to find any of the live to kill players. They're shepherding space and trying to get control. But if you're going for what seems like an easterly take with these windows in this situation, well, it's got to start somewhere, and there's a place. The bottom of the staircase starts to fall into their favor as they eye up the diffuser on the opposite side. Still cold, and you've got to have someone go and fetch and collect before you swing in. But otherwise, the X7 playing underneath hasn't really been able to find anything as of yet.
Oh, well, he found a bit of damage on himself, which is not really the thing you would like to have right here, as he's deciding to, well, go and hold off that hatch, make sure no rotations will be coming through, as Blank will be taking quite a bit of damage from Jitteray. He just lost his first shield. It's basically reverse roles right here. Blank is playing around cigars, playing around piano, and all from New Heaven, Jittery is trying to put some pressure down on him. Normally, it's the defenders that put pressure from Heaven up to the new drop. This time, the other way around. But still, 30 seconds left. It's a 5v4 situation. However, Yuji doesn't have much pressure inside the building. Look at it. Everybody's repelled up. Everybody.
That's it, and it's one of the things I was citing and saying is when you do an Eastern take, whenever you see it go well, usually it's very quick. So far, however, even though it's coming down to the wire, they've been able to find 2 more kills. Smoke is still burning inside, and they're going to try and push in. With Doc having the watch on the balcony, he's able to catch someone by surprise on the backside. There's a quick and an important take as they try and stick the diffuser in. They don't quite know where the plant is going down, but Fatals pops his head up and pops the man down. Live to kill. Take the round.
Really big mistake here from UnionGaming. They should have been aware that that player was hiding inside a cocktail. There's a smoke canister being deployed in that room. You know that he will be in that room. And if there's no one that can try and cover him, this is the result. You lose out on that round. You lose out on the potential lead. That was your first attacking round that you're supposed to win, and you end up losing it. And that means that Live to Kill, this is that map pick, keep that in mind, is starting off very strongly on this second half. Able to turn it around in the last very seconds, making sure that they will stay in charge for this map for now. And that could mean, in the end, of course, that they would win it. Just a single round, just a single fact that no one was covering off the planter could mean a loss in the long run.
And that's one of the cited problems that happens when you try and go for that style of push, but haven't fully done the groundwork that otherwise builds to success. All it took was one person still dug in on the site, holding a position that otherwise, if you'd been able to swing in onto New Balcony or swing into a situation where you had some of the support and some of the cover from the opposite side, as is usually the traditional way with those easterly takes, well, it would have been a very different story. However, this is the one that's been written, and now I guess we'll get to see eyes on to whatever this is about to be.
Did we just see 2 of my discs being tossed outside?
I think it...
There's one at least. I think
it was
there's 2.
definitely one. See, I saw what you thought was the second, but I don't know if that was just... I don't know what that was, but either way, I mean, let's see if this heralds success, because it would be a surprise.
Look, I know what they're trying to do with it, but there's a sledge, and there's also a Maverick. You know, it's so easy to just open it up nonetheless. Also, it's so easy to spot out those bright blue lighting discs. I mean, you might be able to catch some utility with it, but I doubt they will be using a impact or a grenade for it, actually. Talk about grenades, there's 4 on the board right now.
This is one of the things that I wanted to point eyes towards before things kicked off. They've gone with a very big hold here towards, obviously, all the way across Red and Bakery. These are straight sightlines, and this is the result. Sure, the man was behind a shield, but you're against big scope guns. You're against all the utility that they can fire and offer over the support, and you've just handed them a very, very big bit of utility, but you've done it when Thatcher's off the board. You've done it when those walls are set the hardest that they are to take down. They are so solid when Thatcher is gone, and it takes real time and coordination to really get the presence and pressure with just a little bit of a response from the defenders here, and this is the result, is they've been able to swan in, get that opening frag, and now you're in a very uncomfortable position because they're above you as well.
Very questionable hold right here coming down from L2K, as the opening will be there. They also know where some of these players are. And that means that they have the opportunity of just, well, pushing through the actual side and getting that plan down. At least Skipper will be there trying to hold off with a few bullet holes. However, look at that, EX7 on his drone is going to be very well aware of that, and surely soon the kill or free fire will be coming down on the actual player as B continues to open up vertically.
The entire hold kind of hinged on a Kaid that was very easy to get out of Ko, and with the castle that was on the prep room door as well, they knew that they weren't going to get swung on from the prep sides. They could really focus themselves forward and focus into the L2K defense. 25 seconds as we find ourselves at the dying throws for another plant, but this time there's cover, and this time there's no JV who's on the floor and just waiting. Skipper creeps his way towards the potential of the cover on the window, but nobody's there. Pops round and does the 360, but it leads to a flawless round from UnionGaming, and to be honest, the problem started with that defense setup.
I need to think of the gamma hold that we saw in Cafe bottom floor, where they just open up all the single walls and it's got taken apart very quickly. And then we saw Super tweet about it.
I was about to say, you know a hold is bad if Super tweets about it. And it's, especially if it's not like an NA team that he's, you know, bravadoing and beefing roasting at the time and roasting. If it's another region team and he goes, guys, that wasn't a great hold. What are you doing? Yeah, and that's why.
Exactly as you say.
Yeah. You break it down. You break it down.
Thatcher's bend. Thatcher is bend. You can so easily keep all these walls closed. You just play with the Kaid, you put up the Electroclive, they bring a Kali to try and take those out, then you just juggle it every now and then. You can easily pick it up before the explosive lands detonates. If they're bringing the Twitch, you just hunt the Twitch. Like, it's not that deep. You just make sure that you take care of those drone holes and shoot the shock drones as they keep rolling in. But you don't open up the walls for them, especially not when you're playing there. Yeah, okay, you have a 1.5 scope, but you're facing 2 times scopes, at least. Maybe 2.5 scopes as well. Like, they're going to be easily able to get a shot out on you.
I think that was it as well. As I said, it was, if Kaid was the hold on that strategy, if him behind a shield on Cope was the idea of this will stop them just running in, because this means that they can't just focus one way, he was so easy to remove. He was so easy to take care of. Back to the...
It's like putting a single lock on your door.
Not even back to the drawing board on that one, lads. Back to the...
Just delete.
Just delete. Get that out of the drive. Not even... No, I'm not going to make that joke. Poor James. He's taken enough. But what hasn't taken enough yet is UnionGaming. They've been able to pull themselves back to level pegging. You've got to realize, guys, 2 things. 1, this is L2K's map. This is where they expected to play well. But 2, UnionGaming are the tournament favorites. They are the team where if they take everything, oh, they're going to the big stage at SI with all the glittering lights and their names there in that EU COVID bubble. So they've got a lot to prove. And currently, they don't seem to be that dominating giant force against L2K, who are the structural and strategic underdogs of this whole thing. L2K are putting in a good fight. Taking, I'm going to say, a little bit more from UnionGaming to try and do better here.
Definitely putting up a good fight here, and indeed UnionGaming, they need to step up if they want to be fighting in those grand finals where they have the opportunity to make it to the 6th Invitational. If they don't make it, if they get knocked out here today, L2K basically secures a spot for MIBR. They will be very happy with that, but it's definitely not something UG wants to let happen. And the skipper puts up a new disc. I actually like this because like right now they're going to be thinking it's potentially safe. Also like that, what we see right there, just quickly disable the Banshee, which allows you to move through, quickly take it out, and they've never heard that you were actually there. You still have your Twitch drone to continue for, well, other ventures to, for example, ADSs or mirror windows.
Now, as Jittery plays around 90 and creeps along the floor to see if he can catch anybody by surprise. A minute on, and still everybody standing. Seems to be a bit of a story for this showdown so far. Very late pushes and collapses, almost pretty continually here, and I guess they're concerned about Washroom, but Jittery swings in onto the man inside, and now he waits for a rotation. Look at all the red bodies that are trying to funnel their way back. They know somebody's on the 90 side now, and they can hear the drones popping, and Skip is able to pop one. The swing and the pre-fire and the pre-aim catches my man through the window and finds one more. Jittery steps up and gets the triple with Sandy logging it off on the opposite side. What a play and a take of a staircase that was all his.
He had it all that round. He had the passiveness to start it off with, able to take down the Banshee, just waiting prone on the ground, hoping to pick someone up on the actual side. And as soon as he did that, Fluke, he realized, okay, I am in a key position right now. I can stop them from rotating back because I can see them if they come from white. I can see them if they drop the hatch into the laundry room. And then at that moment when the actual execute started happening, he just sped it up. He just kicked it into the next gear, moved through the actual side, shot out the player that was tossing in a C4 to his direction, and then got the second kill in as well. If he wasn't able to pick up that second kill onto the one that tossed out the C4, that surely could have been his demise right there if that detonation actually came through. And thus he manages to basically single-handedly get that round into their way as he opened up onto the sides and made sure that the backup and the reinforcements were not coming through.
UnionGaming, they've been able to find themselves one step ahead, which they'd lost about 4 or 5 rounds prior. And now they're also going to find themselves hitting against the same site. Not opting to head up to the successful bar. L2K have decided instead that they're going to redefine their reading and see if they can catch them off beat and off piste. Jittery 11-6 has picked up the buck for the first time round, and that's going to offer a lot of structural damage to them if they want to go for a slightly different take. We've got to take into consideration that was built from Jittery getting into 90 pretty uncontested. Obviously, they've been able to put the pressure and get the man out of the laundry room behind the mirror and force them into a more uncomfortable situation, which allowed Jittery to lie there with the confidence of a man who, well, knew he was safe. But can they go with a different approach? Because Buck on the board, well, that's a different approach.
Definitely a different approach. Blank will be able to get the spot down. Jittery is done for. The Buck will not see the daylight for the rest of this round. Got put down onto that balcony. Not able to enter the building. Not able to use that skeleton key to open up any vertical or horizontal angles, and this blank seems to be not done yet. It's going to be onto the next window right now, hoping to find another player. However, no one there anymore. No one will be caught off by him, as he is basically just wasting his time looking outside that window.
Well, it's a very worrying loss when it's your man at the moment of the previous round and the top killer in the game that's gone this early. And I guess it was a bit of a simple mistake, which seems to be an unfortunate par for some of UnionGaming's plays so far. They have these great moments. They have these great rounds where things start to trigger at the right times and then slip-ups like that. They know that Blank's been playing aggressive onto windows throughout this game, and well, they just kind of let that happen and let it fall in to a dangerous situation.
EX7 hoping to return the favor, hoping to bring it back into equal numbers. You'd still be losing out on your buck. You don't have it anymore, but you still have those 3 breaching charges onto that Sophia. So the Sophia just got a lot more important than they might realize. As EX7 hoping to go for the gunfight there, but will not be able to get the kill in. Scarus will be blowing up, will be given an opportunity to create a line of sight. Actually, no, impact tricks are coming down twice right now as a little bit more damage is going to be done onto Skipper. Is there a third set of Scarus left they could use? Well, not for now, as Sparkle gets taken down in the DBNO state. Drops are coming in left, right, and center. The kill eventually will come through. EX7 and Beat able to pick up these kills, and the pickup onto Sparkle is there as well. However, Nos is still upstairs, will be rotating down as we speak. As Beat with that sledgehammer and EX7 with the breaching rounds rounds will shortly begin to open up all these vertical angles.
Well, Blank was the man who was able to open this round in pretty good succession, is using that as a rotation. Huge eyes and angles towards pillars, sure, and we saw some hot drop aggression from the hands of Union that led to, well, 2 very injured players, but otherwise a success story, able to take care of 2 of the guns of Live2Kill and put the body balance back into their favor. Now, though, as they go for an approach with 10 seconds left, they've really got to try and find their way into sight. Beat is trying to stick the diffuser down in the close corners and plays against the smoke canisters. Beat gets it down just as the man comes around the back. There's a pistol, there's 1, there's not 2, there's a trade, and there's a very messy confrontation that falls into the way of Nos. Somehow, Live2Kill in what was a very hurried read and fashion turned the pages quickly, threw the book away, and just tried everything to secure those kills.
It was a don't watch. That was a don't watch moment. Like, close your eyes. You don't need to see that. Oh, that was like the pistol, first of all, missing the shots, then 2 of them walking next to each other without actually realizing where either of them are. And okay, pure chaos in the end there. Fact being, as we come back to, you know, I'm still confused. 5-5 is the scoreline. L2K, they managed to bring it back again up to equal numbers. And that means they still have the opportunity of winning this in the, well, regular 12 rounds. Question is, however, are they able to, or will UG actually step it up from here?
Back to the top floor, back to a situation where this came down to a mistake. UnionGaming went for a very late push and late take, and they weren't successful because of it. Now, I'm assuming with the Blackbeard off the board, they're going to go for a slightly different flavor, get themselves in and try and get some control. But yet again, the sordid story of late round pushes seems to be the sacrifice that these teams are making. They know that they have to put the diffuser down, and the kind of loose roam, the ability for both Live2Kill players and in Union's case on their defensive rounds as well, to have that control and have the breath and the final word, that's dictated this game more than anything.
All right. We have 2 more rounds and anything can still happen. We could have a winner in 2 rounds. We could have overtime in 2 rounds. We could have an upset with Live2Kill winning and taking down 1 map already of Union. Yes, it is their own map pick. They are supposed to do better on this map than, well, probably the next. But still, we often do see that goes the other way as well. And the question is, which of these 3 outcomes will it be? Will the UnionGaming to set themselves 1 leg into the grand final and thus, you know, get closer to the 6th Invitational? Will be Live2Kill that is halfway through a potential upset?
Blank yet again looks for a window and tries to throw himself out of it. The drone's dropped immediately. And EX7's a bit concerned that he might suffer the same fate too. Blank with a quick rotate gets himself into a new position. They're hitting windows and trying to bait some plays, but well, as long as the bandit's doing bandity things inside the piano in the Christmas corner, he's probably going to be a bit of a thorn in the side. Sparko is looking to apply some pressure from the white windows and make sure the corridor is potentially a little bit pressured too, so they can catch Blank. They want to make sure he doesn't have a way out before they try and find their way in, and that's going to start with the presser and the presence from Red.
Blank just holding in piano, falling back just a little bit. Up into Cigar, has the opportunity to drop through this hatch if it gets a little bit too heated by the pressure that UG might be putting down. Has to be careful, however, as the EX7 still on that balcony, has the opportunity to, well, basically catch off that hatch if he would like to. But it doesn't seem like they are aware of the fact that the player is up there. So Blank actually having the opportunity to soon go for the kills here into piano. As Skipper will be starting to start it off, will be putting up some huge pressure, some huge damage potential into the players of UG. Not a single bullet hit, but the presence is known, and Blank still hiding has an opportunity to go for an angle soon.
Well, Sandy is going to try and steadily increase. Blank has a hatch drop potential as well. What they want to do is strike here and pull themselves round, double up with Nos, and cause more problems underneath. But for now, it's actually the swing of Skipper that gets the opener. Jittery caught out as they just have a battle. Sparko finds one back. There is the swing. There's a diffuser down. There's an attempt to pick up on a second, but nobody is currently home. Sandy's moved in and moved into the territory that's right in the core of this entire floor. Takes a Legion into the leg, but waits and hesitates to see if he can catch anyone by surprise. With the diffuser in Cigar, though, that is a big blow as the approach comes round. They go for a swing, but the Bandit's still there and still swings onto one, then two. Blank has a round that really starts to thrive, and L2K have the round that puts them onto map point.
There it is, the map point. Now we know. Is it going to be L2K to get the win and instantly set themselves up for an upset as Sparko, and unfortunately will drop. And that means on the match point, L2K will have to hold on to the momentum that they are creating, to the pressure that is being put down onto the members of UG, as they themselves manage to find themselves on a map point right here. It is only map 1. There's still potentially 2 more to go after this one. But it is definitely good to start yourselves off, especially as the underdog, the dark horse, the ones that people said they got here with the easiest bracket. They might not even deserve to be here, according to some. Well, let's just take out the reigning champions, shall we then? As they are really close to starting to do so.
Yeah, that'd be a heck of a way to make a statement. Nothing like killing the Giants to get yourself into a situation. Apparently, it was a false start. They got back in. Got back in time, which is good. We're back. I can stand up.
Hey, let's go.
It's like
a nice stand, please.
Earlier on, I think it's just they don't want us, because we can't be as entertaining on rehosts as Jessica.
And we can't do that to them, can we?
Well, they did a whole Q&A thing. They did a whole get to know each other.
We can do that too. You know, you can make references, and then I can make
references, and then you won't get them, and you can use intellect and maths, and I won't get it.
I will use my int and whiz points.
I do like it. It's like the other duos. There's a lot of like confrontational banter, and you and I, it's just like, yep, we're both idiots, but we're having a good time. L2K, they're having a pretty great time. They're on map point. On map point against the team that are the reigning champions. On map point against the team that are often decreed by those in the region as being the best in the region. Before any of these tournaments were broadcast around, they were the team that was consistently taking the local lands, taking the local tournaments, and really solidifying themselves as the dominant threat. Not to say that it was a clear domination. Sure, you have teams like Kira and Mercenaries that were able to put up great fights before, as well as Monka S, but so far, still Union. Imagining the scenes of them being kicked out by L2K and the furor that could kick her up, well, that would be pretty fun.
It'd be pretty fun indeed. And I know that many other teams will be cheering for this to happen right here. Mercenaries, unfortunately, not going to be able to have the opportunity, if it will continue like it currently does, to deny them themselves. As L2K would have that honor, but they're definitely stepping up. Blank, especially, able to get these kills left, right, etc. He was hidden so well in Cigar, and that's just a lack of droning. It's a lack of fundamentals on the likes of UG that basically led them into the trap that Blank has set up for them. And as right now, it is... Wait, do we not see a Kaid being played? No, we do not.
No, we do not.
Okay. Okay. I mean...
It's a curious plan B. And look at this, as you said, a lack of fundamentals. The drone game from Union has been very blinkered, I think is the fairest description. They have beat watching that rotation there. Okay. I like how I was like, it's been blinkered. They have their eyes locked in, was the point I was going to say. And they do, because we saw the man get past 2 drones before he found the third. But the third, which was being blinkered watched, well, it was being blinkered watched. They waited until he was right in the position, and now they've got to try and push themselves in. One body dropped. Fatals is trying to creep his way into a little bit more of an aggressive situation behind the bomb chassis, swinging around onto the pantry door and seeing if he can get something or someone by surprise. But with the bullets firing and falling overhead, the man is commando as he tries and hums the Mission Impossible theme to himself. and find something on the opposite side of the shiny silverwork in the middle. EX7, in the meantime, finds the head of Skipper.
That's one head found. One less to worry about as the X7 gets out of spin right there. Seem to be aware that someone is still around there. Beat will go down. 4v3 situation, and Nomad Airjet will be putting Fatals down while back on the ground where he already was. Will be downed eventually. 1v3, 45 seconds on that clock for Blank to try and get this clutch going. Is he going to be able to find any? Is he going to be able to get this clutch going? Is he going to be able to make sure that L2K will take map 1? The answer is going to be no. Union are able to bring it back to overtime. And that puts us in a best of 3 end sprint. 3 rounds with 1-1-1 swaps. Not the default 6 that we have, because that would be unfortunate and impossible. Every round we swap of the sides. And it's hard to get into a momentum. It's hard to get into an attacking or a defensive side. Well, flow in that case. So you got to make sure that you take the flow you just had from your previous half into account. And you're going to be able to make the best out of it.
Wow. Blank and Jittery, both putting up big stellar performances so far, but everybody is putting bodies down. And I think that's one of the things about how these two teams are clashing. As I said before, it's often cited that this region, this area, is one of confrontation. It's one of aggression and one of gun skill. One where they throw themselves into the firefights, which we're seeing in this game. Very obviously, we're seeing all of this boil down and break towards the final 20-30 seconds pretty consistently and continually. And that means that everybody on the team has to have gun skill, has to be a gunner, because you never really know where the next firefight and where the next threat is going to come from. And I think that's one of those distinguishing features about teams that push themselves more into that situation. Sure, the drone game from the approach of Union hasn't been fantastic. But the situations where each of the players does need to find a firefight has generally been pretty consistent. All of them have been able to do the same, and it's the same from live to kill. It's never really clear who's going to be the first to get into a confrontation. Credit to Medics for being able to find as many as he can, because I don't think I would be able to. And at the same time, everyone seems to be able to find themselves into these firefights.
And then we have a Blank. He's not going for a jump out. I thought he might be going for a bit of an adventure there, but just closes it off instead with a castle barricade. Unfortunately, though, Beat is on the board, and he does have a big hammer to work with, so we most likely will see him rippled down from the roof he just got up to quickly make work of that, open it up with the big giant hammer, just to allow Sophia Sandy to, not Sophia, Nomad. I don't know how I get those mixed up. To make sure that they can use the angle, try and put some damage. Yeah, it's slightly different. One misses a finger, I believe. The other one doesn't, you know.
No, one misses a finger.
Polish, the other one isn't.
The other misses her daughter. Is it a daughter that Zafir has? Or is it a son? I don't remember. I don't remember the lore. I'm sorry,
I don't know.
lore fans, for being... If I'm wrong, but that's why she can get back up. That's why she can withstand. She does it to save her kid. Nos! Well, doesn't save EX7, in fact does the opposite. Gets rid of him, gets him off the board. Zafir is gone. She's gone back to spend some time with her kids, sit on the sidelines, and wait and watch and try and find themselves back in on the next round. For now, the frag grenades are what's going to hit the ground as they find Skipper and make sure he hits it to Beat. Is able to get one more with the pressure that he's offering from that top. One of the things that we saw on Union's first take against this site was unfortunately slow. They weren't able to really do anything inside the site itself, and that meant when push came to shove, there was still a smoke in a very tricky situation that had a very easy job of making sure the round went into their favor. This time, they're not making the same mistake. They are the quickest they have been on any of their attacks on any of the sites so far, and Jittery is looking for the double. As he's keeping the Legion mine in his leg, he knows that there's still people close. Unfortunately, suffers to one as Nos pushes up round and finds himself back into the freezer to take control of the center of this site finally. A little bit of a breath of fresh air as twin bits of pressure are pushed against the twin defenders remaining. Fatal still has 2 canisters left, and 1 impact will give Nos a great roamer, a little bit of rotation, but it could start here with Sparko yet again. A drone, a potential blinker, and a potential problem for the attackers.
Had to recover that diffuser. A bit of time was lost there, but they start moving themselves up now. Goo mines and benchies will be taken out as speed moves up, but then there is an issue. There is a shield on the other side, and that will be the kill to come through. Not able to pick up one, not the second one, however, as Sparko manages to reply, and it's only up to Fatals now. The last man standing, the smoke, still has 2 canisters left in hand, but needs to figure out where they will be coming from if he wants to use these. Tosses out 1, tosses out 2, the next one comes in from the skylight. He survives behind the shield for a little bit, but not long enough. It's Sparko to come in from the side, and UnionGaming to win round number 13 and put themselves up onto a map point right now, unlike, well, one that we had seen from L2K before.
That is maybe the first time since the very first round that we've seen it in this life or death final throws situation where instead of pushing for the objective, they've gone for the kill. They've gone for the read, gone for the beat, and gone for, we know where he is, let's 2 versus 1 and set up the trade. Now, the last time I saw that happen was a 1 versus 1, sure. I do not think that either team has made that decision actively before this point, and it has been a lot more successful this time round. Of them, instead of looking at getting the diffuser down and playing that objective, sometimes you just have to push the man and look at the result that you can get. You can put yourself on map point. You can put yourself 1 defensive round away on Cafe, and they've put themselves on Kitchen to try and make it happen.
Still, UG not opting to go for that top floor, going back to the bottom floor, the ground floor, not the basement, as we would say in Netherlands and in the UK. So, we see the reinforcements coming out. We also see rotation, I believe, inside of Bakery, which means that it will be actively played. Maybe they keep a reinforcement in back, in pocket, just to make sure that they can close it off later. Or maybe, if there is no push going down from that side, they'll just be using that angle that just got created to look into the actual side. Because just look at all the openings that have been created, left, right, and center. Every single wall has like a hole inside of it. Nothing is safe.
Jittery is trying to put bullets down towards the approach from the spawn, and Fatals isn't falling for it. They seem a bit aware of that game, and they were, I guess you'd hope they were, with how quick they were to strike on their own windows. Jittery has pulled himself down 2 bit of stairs, making sure that all of this lockdown and the approach is getting shut down. Another drone falls and gets taken out of the pockets of Live to Kill. The aggressive roam game that we've talked about from them before is one here where it's still being played. My question is, you've put your Pulse in this situation. Your Pulse is the man that's roaming, your Pulse is the man that's caught off. You've also got 3 C4s, so why is he not the one that's inside the site getting the read for those 2 C4s to be used? Because if he's the first off the board, that is the best bit of synergy utility you could possibly ask for with a C4 in pocket, and you're potentially throwing it away as your entry confrontation.
You could indeed, right, but really, I have to say, I really like the fact that they reinforced it from outside to quickly change that subject, which makes it a little bit harder to get a grenade inside. That was often the choice why teams started to reinforce from the outer side instead from the inner side, as utility just, well, found its way in less easily, and that's a beautiful kill. That's the kill onto Skipper. That might be the first actual 100% accurate grenade we have seen being tossed in, but Jittery, unfortunate upstairs, will be able to find the kill, and it was a drone in him. They knew exactly where he was, and yet he was allowed to live, yet he was allowed to kill, and put them back into 4-4. L2K, the pressure is on them right now. They are setting up for a take from the freezer side of things, but they're not able to open it up yet. The grenade needs to come through. They need to take care of the Electro Claw, and then Skipper comes in. We'll be picking up yet another kill. That's Jittery now gone as well. That is your Pulse gone. That is a C4 gone, and that's exactly what L2K need to potentially survive if it wasn't for Sparko.
Well, they have the rotation back onto site if they need to use it, and they've got to use something fast. The 3 versus 3, but with the X7 on only a little bit of health, and Sparko taking some damage of his own, it's all going to fall down to who can get the eyes and the angles onto their opponents first. No more throwables apart from 2 smokes. It's going to make things very dicey for the single C4 in the pocket of Sparko as they look towards still setting themselves up. Finally, they enter onto the freezer. 20 seconds yet again. Slow to the mark push. Beat throws out a canister Jester, and that cooks the health of Fatals, who pops around the Banshee Screams. They know exactly where they are, they know exactly what game they're trying to play, and they know exactly how to catch them. EX7 lying on the floor. JV doesn't get the pre-fire, and he gets a free double. EX7 finds one more. Skipper on a triple, has to get the ace to pull the map, but does not. Union, they take the first map by the skin of their teeth. Sure, it wasn't theirs, but at the same time, it almost very wasn't theirs.
It wasn't theirs to start off with, but they almost didn't have it at all. Indeed, L2K, they put up a heck of a fight on this first map as they end up on 8-6. Overtime it was. Unfortunately, they weren't able to close out the single match point that they had, the map point they had. And thus UG is going to be the winner right now, and that means that they are still in the running right here for potential 6 invitational spots. If they manage to win the next map, they are in that grand finals where it all will be decided. And well, L2K, even though they are, according to many, the team with the easiest run, they are definitely showing they have what it takes to put up some huge damage to UnionGaming.
Well, they've got to show it a little bit more. 2 more maps in their future, only one for UnionGaming. But before we get to that, we'll have some quick commercials and then see what the analysts think. See you soon.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Jess and Des join me again on the analyst desk as we continue with our play date. Cafe Dostoevsky just ended in favor of UnionGaming, but boy, was it close. There were moments that we were all screaming, and Jess specifically does this quite a bit, screaming in my ears when we were sitting in our channel, and yeah, it was very surprising. L2K really gave it their all.
They absolutely did, yeah. I was quite pleasantly surprised that we came into the half and they were 3 rounds up on the attack, or 3 and 3, I guess, at the half, given again in the last series they only took 2 attacking rounds in total. We got to the 4th round and I was like, hey, they've hit their quota, time to lose from here, I guess. But no, they really came out with some Impressive gun skill is the way I'd summarize it. And to be fair, there's probably some criticisms that then follow beyond that point. Things like nading friendlies, a little bit of lack of communication, dropping through hatches and being gunned down by a player that is in the room you're dropping into. A few bits of lack of droning I felt at points in the first half. But again, that gun skill and that pace was there, enough to make Union sweat and take away 3 attacking rounds.
Probably another really important point to bring up is that the last time they went head-to-head on this particular map, it also went to overtime. I think we all spoke about it before that, okay, this is probably a map that L2K could look to go, okay, we could fix our mistakes, not go to overtime again. Things happen all over again, and all of a sudden, it doesn't matter. Union, they're walking away with the win again. And I think that's going into the second map, that's probably a really critical thing to think about, is that, okay, that was our map pick. We're now not going on to our map pick. And by losing the one map we thought we could best them on the second time round and not doing it, we're going on to a map that was meant to be the decider in their last matchup that they didn't end up getting to. So we want to see a better showing, because on Villa, which would be the decider, they actually got beat by UnionGaming again. So for me, things are not stacking up very good for L2K at the moment, but I will agree with Des. What they did show us was a very impressive attacking half as well. I'm not sure whether or not both teams are just feeling it on attack, but they definitely looked really good on attack.
Yep, it was an even split at the end. Of course, we made it to overtime in that way with an 8-6 victory over UnionGaming. But that was map 1, Cafe Dostoyevsky, and L2K starting off on the attack on that. Though, Clubhouse is our second map. Again, a fairly defensive-sided map, as is the usual metagame. But we don't know what these two teams. Cafe fared pretty well on both of these sides. So I'm very interested in this. Union is starting on the attack as it was their pick. Now, I wouldn't really say that there's more pressure on one team or the other, but Union, they want to make it to SI, and the only way for them to do so is to win the whole thing, pretty much. So they got to go through L2K. They're proven. They're a difficult team to go through.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for L2K especially, this is a map that I look at them coming into and don't feel so good about, because the issues that really showed in the last map, droning, timing, I think there was 3 rounds in the first half they lost because the timer came down to running out, even though they were in a favorable situation or potentially on the back of a clutch. There's just a few things that went wrong, especially with EX7 on the attack in quite a couple of the rounds for Union as well. Really long-range shots through soft walls that have been set up inside a kitchen, not quite sure why they were there, into players that were meant to be behind shields but weren't. The defense looks a little bit dicey, but when it comes to them being on the attack for L2K, we've got to see the timeliness improve. We need to see drones get better. Otherwise, they are going to walk into their demise time and time again. Whereas Union, who looks much better at clearing out utility and taking those longer gunfights off the back of information, going into a map like Club that's very checklisty, there's a bunch of things you need to do as a team. I'd say Union are far favored in that regard.
Hibana patches in yet, Jess, right? So something to think about. You have a countdown timer and like minutes and hours until that happens, right?
I was going to say, I am literally waiting for it, because then I get back to being Hibana main, everything goes back to normal in the world, and everyone goes, oh, of course. And everyone who watches my stream knows I have like a whole fan art of me drawn as Hibana Elite. I just love it. I love her to death. So I'm glad that she's going to be really coming back into the meta. I was just looking through at least the bracket of them making their way to the major. UnionGaming played Clubhouse a few times. They only lost it once, and that's against their grand finalists of Mercenaries. So if they can best every other team in the entire bracket, in the entire playoffs, and on that particular map, they can't beat the grand finals. Okay, we'll shovel that underneath. We'll pretend that doesn't exist. They could probably do pretty damn well on it. And I mean, I hate being the one that brings up statistics and stuff, but
you don't hate it. You don't hate it, Jessica Bolden. We know that.
I mean,
in the end, okay, Clubhouse. Let's say 2-0 Union. Yay or nay, Jess?
I'm not allowed to make predictions. Please don't ask me asked eggs. Please.
Fence sitter, Des.
I basically gave you a 60-second prediction describing why I think Union are going to win this map. It's going to be a lot more cozy than what Cafe was. If L2K can fix the issues I mentioned around timing, around the droning, yes, it will be better for them. I still think Union take it, though. Yeah,
we need to go away from this NA fence sitter kind of thing all the time. So let's work on that in the future, shall we not? Thank you so much, Jess, Des. Let's toss it back to our casters. Fluke and Hap, take it away. Clubhouse Union versus L2K.
Thank you, Milosh. And we are definitely no fence sitters here, because if I say Fluke, Union, yay or nay, you say?
Union. Probably.
Let's go. Woo!
I don't know why Jess
I mean yay or nay, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Why is Jess scared to make predictions? Where's the fear come from? I thought she was fearless.
Okay, listen, when we were casting the APAC relegations, literally everything she said was being spoken into existence.
Oh. Okay.
So she's like, I don't want to curse teams anymore.
So she's like Dez, but Dez is the opposite. Like Dez will say things, and it'll go wrong.
So
but Dez doesn't care.
If Jess said something, it was always like something bad will happen. That's what she was saying, and that was always what came through in the end. So she's, to some extent, indeed, she predicts the future, but only the bad things for the teams. That is, not in total. Don't get me wrong.
Hey, Union Gaming, you're one map away from securing your spot. Hey, you're one map away from securing your spot. You're really living up. No. Live to kill. Yeah. You're one map away from unfortunately not getting any further. Yeah, being taken out, being pushed apart and away from your possibility of getting to the final. Obviously, okay, out of the 4 teams that started this, Union Gaming were the only ones playing for the possibility of setting themselves up for SI, but the others are still playing for rewards. They're still obviously playing for the title and the mantle and the cape and the crown that comes.
And money.
Yeah, and that too. That comes with being the region victors. And you're playing for the trophy. You're playing for the possibility of setting your name on the board. Saying to everybody out there, everyone watching out in the audience, everyone watching from the other regions and the other teams, and learning. Learning your name, your presence. If this is a Jaeger, Ash Jaeger again.
Live to kill don't like Ashton Jaeger.
Don't like it.
I think we can conclude that. They do not like these operators. We do see the tension coming out again. And I mean, we did see Union Gaming, they were struggling a little bit, but I'm not sure if that is due to the small basic fact that Ashton Jaeger weren't available. And let's see how many grenades they bring. We instantly see 4 on the board right here. See the IQ coming out as well. No Twitch yet. Of course, IQ somewhat functions the same way. And the opportunity to take out utility. And if only a Mew Jammer will be deployed to keep the wall closed. I mean, that will be hard on Gym Bedroom, actually. So yeah, Twitch is the right choice. No, stick with it. Generate. Good.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
Stop. Stop. No! Jimmy, back!
Monica Weiss has made her way into the room. Hello, Monica. I don't know what she actually sounds like. I don't play IQ enough to know the voice lines.
The voice lines.
Unfortunately.
But I played Termite a lot, but I'm not allowed to say those voice lines on stream.
And I've already historically said my favorite voice line in this entire game is Zephyrs, which sounds like Shrek. Hello there! I love it, guys. Yeah, if you're playing with the English voices on, because I know a lot of people change the regional voices, which I didn't know before, but I learned that some people do it. Like some pros have, changed the voice packs to be like the Japanese voices if they love anime and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
I think Gaz has probably done that, to be honest. I know somebody did.
Maybe Jess as well, actually. I mean,
they love their anime.
Those are the 2 anime connoisseurs of the squad.
I would watch a Siege anime if one was made. I would watch a Siege anything, but if some, I mean, people already do. There's so much amazing fan art and like creations out there. There's the person who combined an anime show with Siege characters. But we're getting a little off topic. The topic here currently is setting themselves up for the possibility of digging into this site and where they can go and where they can grow from here. The pickup of IQ as this mad segue started and accosted is one of those setups where you're looking at obviously trying to control the Valkyrie, trying to control how they're locking themselves in. But as you said, with the other collection of utility there, it's potentially a good place for Twitch to be roaming and playing.
I mean, I get it. Yeah, there is a Valkyrie on the board. It might prove to be troublesome if you're not going to be able to get these black eyes out of the way. And there's still other ways to deal with it. I mean, you have 4 grenades. It's okay to use one to get rid of a Mew Jammer. It's not the end of the world. Oh, wait, you have a Maverick as well. I totally missed that one somehow. Like, I saw the grenades that he brought, but I didn't realize the gadget doesn't really care about any electricity or any signal disruptors. So, nope, no worries. There was no need for a Twitch. I take it back. Jittery, you made the right choice. I was wrong. Please forgive me.
He doesn't. I asked him and he doesn't. Instead, Jittery's just going to hold the angle and watch over construction and say, shut up, Hap, I'm busy watching this angle and watching over construction. Sparko is trying to apply some pressure on the opposite side as Nos waits for the drop onto logistics. It's again another game of watching windows. A bit of a slow pace and approach here, but, well, it sounds like it might start sooner rather than later. Fatals catches Sparko out, tried to drop the shield, but did not account for the aggression that L2K have shown onto windows seemingly continually. They want to have these fights wherever they can, and often successfully too.
Very sticky situation they're in right now in the likes of UnionGaming. They don't really have any control. They still need to make themselves inside. Yes, okay, the jacuzzi wall is opened up, but it's not enough. You need to be dropping through this hatch potentially to cover off Jittery if he wants to take some control. It's quite dangerous if you do so as well. The flashbangs, however, are going to be coming in, trying to take out the Grismot mine that has been placed. But as Skipper moves into construction right now, Jittery, his position is not as safe as it would normally be. And as the drops come through, that is the teammate that will be taken down. Sandy will go down. Jittery has no clue on how to respond to this, considering that while jumping in now would just be suicide. And as Nos gets another kill as well, it is a 1v5 right now for just Jittery, who only now makes his way inside of the actual building and instantly gets punished for it. A flawless round from L2K to start it off, and that is going to be, well, very good for them, going to put some confidence in their boots as they need to take this win home.
The thing about being a flank watch in a situation like that is, okay, your team has worked out that you've cut them in half, in a way. A very important rotation that once upon a time didn't even exist is under your lock and key and your watchful eyes. All it takes for it to become successful is the pressure to be applied from the opposite side, because as we saw, they also had EX7, who is watching the top of the red stairs, or the main stairs even had the rotation covered there in case they went down red and in case they pulled themselves back underneath instead. Both of those were covered. All it took from that point onwards was to apply the correct pressure to site, but unfortunately Union couldn't quite get that final piece of the tactical puzzle. So if you're wondering why Jittery and EX7 were holding those positions for too long, all that round would have taken to become more successful was 2 kills onto the site itself, and then their positions would have been absolute bloodshed. Lockdown, unfortunately for them, those 2 kills, they just never came.
All right. The 2 kills never came, and L2K now in the lead. That first round in. It is Clubhouse, of course. You are supposed to get 4 rounds in, and that first round was a beautiful one. Just picking it up flawless right there as glass pieces of the wall will be punched out, most likely, just to not waste much more shotgun utility, because you always have that little as a smoke if you open up all those rotations alone. You should see only 13 shells left. So, but as I was saying, it's a very good first round here for L2K. A flawless round to back it off from. That is going to be giving you probably a confidence boost, as only now they start. What? What? I'm really confused.
It was a
that
late...
wall was open.
Yeah, they had the wall open. I think they were trying to do a bit of a run out and some aggression because it was open obviously very late, so it wasn't just Valkyrie run out timing. They expected and hoped that Union might read it and go, hang on, let's go quick and aggressive, but they didn't. They're not falling for the same problems that they often suffered on Cafe, where they believed that they were safe on an approach. They saw and sniffed the bait and decided not to take it. And well, Valkyrie's just going to make sure she has the pocket reinforcement, get that redone, and pull themselves back. No point leaving an open wound if you can otherwise get it sealed off and focus on the more important pressures and dangers coming up.
Thank you. Working the magic right here, splitting out the utility. Trying to find out where the black eyes are located. They get pinged out, finding out where potential, well, not ADSs because there's no Jaeger, but potential discs would be located, which is also not the case considering there's no Omai. And then you're thinking, yeah, 4 frag grenades. Make them work. Make them start working, because they are going to be the key to this round here for you. If you are UG, you have to make sure that these frag grenades will find their target, as you only need to pick up 1 or 2 really with these 4 frag grenades and you're ready. Did he just make a smiley?
Maybe not intentionally. No, No, what?
No, he
That
didn't,
looks
okay.
nothing like a smiley hat. What's wrong with your phone emojis?
I'm starting to see something here, all right? Jittery actually is going to be moving in. I'm just quickly going to distract, and we'll be trying to be the spearhead in dirt as they start entering the actual site.
Pushed so far up into dirt and finally meets a maker, and Blank gets a double. At the very end of it, they set themselves up for a trade and revenge, but couldn't catch it. The Valkyrie finally has the success she sought so early before, and now it's a big blow and bit of concern because she has a rotation out of dirt. If she wants to apply the pressure onto the backside, they've got to be aware of that now. With only 20 seconds, EX7 goes for it and loses as well. A triple is fed to a Valkyrie that's played maybe 60 feet of ground. She's thirsty for more. The detection comes out, just gonna pre-fire. Sandy drops in the meantime and gets one. They're heading and careening down the stairs. Wants to try and shut down the Valkyrie, but with nothing else left to do, Sandy had a single kill and a smoke canister to try and cover the tears. At least got one, but unfortunately didn't get anything further.
The fact that you're losing out 3 people to the single Valkyrie that was hiding in a corner in dirt is worrying. It's very worrying for UG. That is simple drone. So you had to do. Just toss in one of those little rolly things, you know, that you
Oh, that's what
through.
those are.
Yeah, they roll about. They have a camera in front. You can see where the enemy is if you use them properly. That would have saved them that round. Just a single drone.
But it didn't.
They didn't because they didn't use it.
I was taking a drink and it added a very punctual silence. Just to let everybody realize that you should bring your drones. Bring your intel. And intel, as pointed out on the desk and by us in the cast, has been the big cost for Union. Across their attacks before on Cafe, it just seems like it's never truly in their control. They don't have the lockdown. They don't have that weaved web of we know where everybody is and we're gonna strike, and it keeps being the bane of all of their pushes and plays. They trust something that isn't quite fully structured, and it's leading to moments like that. It's leading to chaos. It's leading to a single character getting a triple kill in an off-site-ish position. It's a very big flat site. Is anything really off-site for that? Well, either way, Dirt is. And Dirt rewarded a triple for a Valkyrie that was just undroned, unchecked, uncontested. Even if, at the very beginning, because it's a very narrow situation, they just had a drone 3 paces ahead of, I believe it was Jittery, was the one that was going for the entry. A drone 3 paces ahead. That would have been a kill.
That's why you drone ahead of your entry. That's why you play together like that as a team. That's often why you see these drones often in front of like the entry fraggers during, for example, well, basically other matches, EU, NA, LATAM, also in APAC. Because it just saves, it gives a little bit of extra information, and your entry fragger is going to be able to respond to it quickly enough, especially if you say 3 paces ahead. You're going to be saying hard left, and it's, you know, he's just going to look left, gets the kill. You win the round on the back of it, maybe, potentially, because now 3 kills came through from Bank, who's now moving across freely outside again. He's just harassing the likes of UG. He's just active. He's just running out, being spotted, saying like, "Hey, I'm here. Come and get me if you dare." Because the last time that costed him 3 lives.
Terrifying voice. And the entrance presence has come. The entrance presence is here inside stock. They're beneath with a buck, which can work very well with cooked grenades, patience, and angles. We haven't seen fantastic grenade play in terms of that specification as of yet. We've obviously seen grenade kills, but more of it has been rough pulls, rough plays, and rough pushes. This takes precision because you need it to explode underneath the floor. It's timing, it's practice and prep, which you assume that all these players can do and are good at, but it's also making it hit the mark. And now, I guess, Blank is looking for a big rotation and is free to do it. And this is the concern here, is we're 2 minutes gone right now, and you look at what they have control of, and currently it's not really anything consequential. We can hear walls being cracked open. They might not know that Blank's underneath. Jittery wants to make the approach here, and EX7 is the one trying to find the angle onto the man onto the rafters. Looks one way, gets the ping a second, and Fatals gets caught. Finally, they're able to find a kill, but Blank here beneath could find something big. Oh no! Pre-fired, they knew the game. Blank is got by beat, held the position too long and got caught. Now the drones are heading and moving in ahead of the players. What you wanted to see for a while, but Nos saw a little spark of Sparko and decided to snuff it out. Habana pellets start to pop towards the default plant as they look for the rotation and swing themselves in all the way. They have the cover and the concern from underneath. They know roughly where the 3 bodies are, and the hatch isn't open, so they can't rotate on the construction. There's a C4, there's a miss. There's Beat taking a load of damage, but puts JV onto the same amount. There's a swing and aggression as Jittery and Beat find one apiece. All down to Skipper, but nobody left. As UnionGaming lock themselves in and find their first round.
Kept tossing bodies at the one planter. L2K bodies, C4s, smoke innesses, everything you could imagine was being tossed at it there. And in the end, nothing was left. And UG was able to pick up their first attacking round. And it was instantly on CCTV cache. Normally a site that we see to be the primary for many teams. Now chosen to, well, basically be the forced third jury site. Because otherwise you'll be ending up in bar. And I don't know about you, Fluke, but I've never seen a bar at a major or anything like this ever since the rework.
I would love to see a bar. I recently heard the story of Flynn, the casting legend, the player legend, the man who proves casters can play, doing bits in Canada Town. And he devised a bar hold, and he was discussing it with Sewer when Sewer was with GT once upon a time, and
I heard that one.
and then they tried it. G2 tried it the next day in a final, and I couldn't tell you what tournament it was. I'm sure people in chat can point it out. G2 went and tried it. It failed badly, and then I believe it was the G2 account itself that tweeted, "Not a good strat, Flint." And
Thank you for letting us lose that round.
Thank you for letting us lose that round. So there's a story of a bar hold.
So the bar holds that have been used weren't that successful. And we're probably not going to be seeing one either here today, as there's just too much on the line for both these teams. One that wants to prove itself in its region, live to kill that is, and one that wants to make it to the grand final where they can fight for a 6th invitational spot, which is not a small deal, not a small ordeal. It's literally the biggest stage you could be at in the terms of Siege Esport. And they have the opportunity, the first year that they're up in the big open APAC North, well, not North, just the APAC divisions included in the global circuit, they have the opportunity to make it to the 6th invitational, and surely they want to be the first of their region to do so.
That's it. That's the possibility that they're playing for here. And look at this, a very different approach onto the site itself, onto the control that they want to make sure they have locked down. They're popping the hatches and hopefully trying to pop the bodies a little bit later. Yeah, it's a bit of a curious decision to not roll with the hammer.
There's reasons for it, most likely.
Probably the 3 C4s is probably a reason.
Yeah, probably. You know, you don't want to get blown up from underneath as soon as you're starting to hammer it open. Are they going to be trying? Okay, I was going to say maybe Beat is going to be trying to use some of that fuel to just quickly cut out the rest of it, but no, it's going to be a grenade that will be tossed in the bathroom. They have it lands right under his feet, but it's not cooked well enough, and he barely escapes as he walks to the other side of things. At least the bathroom will be opened up, and that means that there's no more opportunity to play there, and Jittery will be from below. It's going to be putting pressure down onto the main stairs, but that should have been a kill. That should have been a confirmed kill for one of the L2K members, and it should have been the entry for UG.
That's it. That's the definition of how grenades have generally gone between these two teams so far. Right direction, wrong amount of time in the oven. Haven't quite been able to do the damage. Whether they've been able to scrape or not isn't the matter. That is a kill utility. That is a very costly bit of utility for the defenders. And that is one that if you're playing it with that precision, well, you work on the timing and you can find some big success. Here, though, more people being scratched and scrapped as the corridor becomes a big confrontation. There's another trade and another body falls. It's just beat left as the X7 goes down on the opposite side. A 4 versus 1 situation inside with the diffuser in the middle of the room. Swings onto one, gives the game away, but doesn't catch the others as all three decide that they want to try and have a bite. Live to kill. Lock down another hold upstairs.
Imagine if that grenade would have been a kill, that fluke. That would have changed the game, because suddenly you had an advantage there that would have given you some space to move in. And then you might have been able to catapult yourselves into an actual round win. But 1-3 scoreline that we are currently seeing. L2K is the ones in the lead, or are the ones in the lead, and does have an opportunity to push us to a map number 3 if they continue this current streak. They need to win a couple of more rounds to put themselves up onto a map point here. 3 to be exact. With only 2 being left on the defense. Let's see what they can make out of this health.
Wow, Church and Arsenal as we head back down 2, and obviously this is one that really fell a bit to bits by lack of droning, which was picked up a lot in the immediate round after, where they seemed very successful in getting control. And I'm going to say they had drones and an idea of the play against Live to Kill there, but things just didn't quite work on the execution. So let's go with the storyline that UnionGaming might have been able to step up their drone game, but this is when we're going to have proof of that. This site, which fell to bits because they didn't utilize that very important bit of roller utility, that was the cost that cost them the round. This is where they can prove that they've learned a lesson.
This is where they will have to prove that they have learned a lesson, because the time is also running out for Union here on this map. You don't want to be going into another 3-3 split. Or, well, you do actually if you're Union, but not as Live to Kill. You don't want to go into a 4-2 split. You want to make sure that you are going to be the ones that have the opportunity to take the lead straight away if you head into that second half, if you're starting out on the defense. And if they want to be achieving that, they need to show up now. They need to get these next 2 rounds in a row on the likes of Union. Otherwise, Live to Kill is going to have a very good time going into the second half, because we've seen that their attacks, they are able to surprise Union every now and then, especially on Cafe. So they got to make sure that they will be going into this confidently. Goes for both these teams. And, well, preferably also for both these teams in the lead.
Well, Blank has pulled themselves all the way up. They're still waiting for an approach, but as we've seen, they're not playing that game as of yet. UnionGaming, they're looking at the bigger clear here across the top floor as they ping utility and pop the possibility of getting themselves in with, oh yes, drones. All right. Now, as they find themselves able to apply the pressure onto the 90 degrees and pipes beneath, they're forcing Live to Kill in more uncomfortable situations, and they're doing it with a lot of time still left. Blank has eyes out there, sure. They have eyes on the possibility of dirt, sure. But they don't really have much more that they can do with it. And this just leaves Blank in a situation where if he's not pressured, there's only so much time, as we've seen, where if you wait for something and you're not rewarded, all it does is cost your team. And you've got to be the balance of when is the right time to pull back.
Well, cannot 100% agree with that. He's still in a very good position in that third tunnel, because he has the opportunity to either pick up a kill right here as they're starting to open him now, and they're not done. That's a free kill. He's literally just waiting. They know where he is. In the meantime, however, Sandy's going to be able to pick up a double kill onto both Nos and onto Skipper. But as he comes in, went off a bit too quick of that cam, didn't actually realize that UnionGaming already gathered back into that kitchen. It would have been an opportunity for him right there if he was a bit more, well, patient on that cam. He would have known where to go, but, well, that opportunity has passed right now, and the double entry is there for Union.
Now then, Sparko hops in, drops down, suffers some shots close, but has the confidence and wherewithal to put the diffuser down. The pings come out, and there goes the canister, which forces Sparko into an explosion, which forces him to, well, safety. The cover comes. Blank gets Sandy, and Sandy gets Fatals over the shoulder, though, and they have more canisters, but Sparko's in an off-boost position, and he puts the plant down. Jay gets one, but the cover's coming from the main door, and Jay goes down. Blank is all that's left. We said, if you hold and hover for too long, when do you pull back? Well, he's making the right decision now as he goes for the pickup. They couldn't get the confirmed kill, but the concern comes from the hatch above. Doesn't seem like they're paying it too much attention, but the concern that they might be has bought them enough time. There goes Blank. He's at least able to get one up beforehand. JV with a big C4 can't quite make it, but with only 16 seconds and impending doom above, well, this looks like a round going into the favor of Union. 10 seconds, 9 seconds, no more seconds. EX7. Well, he's there.
He was there indeed, and well, the choice of going for that pickup there, it allowed UG to actually set up for an after-plant there, Fluke. The entire flooring, the entire ceiling got opened up above them. There was nothing they could do because all the hatches were opened up. They could literally drop down from any single position, and there was no way up. There was no time up for L2K right there, and that basically left us with UG in a very comfortable driver's seat. You know, one where you could, like, with heating, chair heating, massage option. Basically, that's where they were sitting in. And now they only need one more round to get themselves up on a 3-3 split, which would be very good for UnionGaming. And then you're thinking about it again, like, what if that opening would have been a bit earlier? What if he would have actually stayed on that cam a bit longer, managed to rotate inside the kitchen and shut down their plans from there? Because there was an opportunity, just a little bit too greedy, waiting for that, well, not really waiting, just the opposite of waiting, for the opening to be made by the Silmas.
Well, 2 rounds on your attack is pretty standard, especially with all hard destruction up. To be fair, you might even call that okay rather than good, but it's obviously not over yet. If they can get themselves a 3-3 split before they hop to their defense, they might find themselves in a little bit of a different story here. And I think one of the things, to be fair, about Clubhouse when you have all hard destruction up is you bring it. And that's what we're seeing from the hands of UnionGaming. 3 on the board pretty consistently, with obviously Beat bringing the Maverick roll, which will stop any of those hard walls anyway, but the possibility of making sure everything gets opened, well, that's Clubhouse. That's how you play it, that's how you run it, and that's how Union are doing it. And they've been able to find some success, but I'm curious to see how L2K approach it. We've already talked about some of their picks and selections being a little bit off the record and off-piste, and I'm curious to see what their adaptations are, again, with a consistent need to ban Ashe and Jaeger.
Now I'm looking at it, and you might say, well, if you bring 3 hard breachers, do you not miss out on different utility? And, well, some could argue, yes, you would actually miss out on utility. Like, how are you going to take care of shields or of banshees? But in the meantime, they also have 4 frag grenades available to them, and they have 2 concussions on that Sophia, or impacts, I have to say. So there's plenty of utility available to make sure that those might discs, first of all, get wasted with the 2 smokes on Sparko, the 2 concussions on Jittery, and the 3 flashbangs on Sandy. And they also still have those 4 frag grenades that you can then use to take out utility or players, whichever one you would prefer. And thus you can afford it to, on this map, bring 3 hard breachers, especially if Maverick is available, because it just basically surpasses anything that's being brought by the defense, because you can just cut it out, literally.
Oh, Blank's playing a very dangerous game here, and all the walls are starting to fall around him. Having that soft on the construction wall, it's a choice, and I guess we'll see if it's a bad one sooner rather than later. Nos is able to at least get the head of Jittery, and there's Blank getting Sparko just caught in an uncomfortable situation, and Blank was handed a free kill. Maybe they expected the room to be clear, but the story of UnionGaming not truly droning seems to be one we keep on telling and keep on hearing and seeing. Unfortunately, for the UnionGaming fans, EX7 moves in from the wall that was only partially closed, and now at least angles himself towards the site and the sight lines. Beat finds Skipper. JV and Nos aren't too far away, but Nos swings wide and takes care of EX7 with Sandy. Trying to move in, doesn't quite get the response. Oh, there there it is, and there goes Nos. Another quick trade, a 2 versus 2 with 42 seconds left on the board. Beat is on the other side of a very big gap here between the two players and is going to try and drone to offer some support and make sure they have everything caught. The one on the top of red is the first giveaway of the game, but the pings are continual. The default cam's still up in the corner of the room as well, so they're still getting the beat and the idea on where they truly are. 20 seconds left, and no ground has truly been made. Sandy went for a rotation to try and offer some support onto the CC window now as canisters start to pop. Still one left, and that's going to be more than enough to stop the default, but so is that. Just swing round and shoot the man, grabs the canister, knows they have to try and get the kill, finds one, doesn't quite find the second, who's gone, hightailed it out of there, swung round a corner, there he is, and there it is, B!
No way, B!
Unbelievable, somehow clutches that. All they had to do was not be there.
I was so ready to say they deserve to lose that round on the back of not droning again. In construction, the bandit just sitting there patiently waiting, picking up a kill yet again. It happens so often, and somehow they get away with it here. Somehow they manage to still steal that round away from L2K. UG somehow picked that one up, and that is a very important round because right now we find ourselves in an equal split. It's 3-3, and the defense is now for Union Gaming. They don't have to worry about droning anymore. God bless them, because otherwise it would have been a very icky howl for them.
Well, that's a way to end a half. And I guess, as you
Just a pure
said,
silence.
that's the way to end a half as I cough and joke and clear my throat. Now let's see how L2K approach this monolith. They have bought 3 hard destructions, which for me is the sign. It's a good sign. It's an optimistic sign. And for the first time, we've seen Clash on the board today in this showdown. A big shield operator that can really stun and slow teams that get stumbled on stunning and slowing. When did I talk about that? And what team did I talk about that with? Oh, the map of Cafe, where we just were, where it seemed like the more solid defenses put up in the way of Live to Kill, the more they struggled, the more time they took. If you gave them an entrance, they would take it quickly. But if you put up a wall, they would unfortunately ponder it slowly before finally finding the way through it. So that clash could be a very big stem and slow of the approach of what is a quick, fluid team.
The clash indeed has the opportunity to hinder the attacks, to hinder the approaches, and make sure that they aren't able to freely just walk in, as sometimes might happen. It slows down the attack, and suddenly you have to think different. Suddenly you have to adapt. You have to move utility around to try and take care of that clash, for example, because it could be that Fatals and, well, let's say Jay are getting caught off by that clash. Suddenly they have to deal with it, but they don't have the utility to actually deal with that clash. You have to move over the Zofia to use those concussions just so you can shoot out the legs. As an example, and if you do not realize that the clash is there, you're not going to be prepared for it. Possibly.
Possibly. That's the joy of possibility now as they start to steadily make their way against these hatches and look for an entrance beneath. They're steadily droning and being consistent in the lockdown and control. Maverick's doing his best work here as he makes sure he doesn't get caught by an explosion or a spray of fire from underneath. Doesn't. It's a slow and steady bit of work, though, and it puts himself in a bit of a tricky situation now.
Openings also being made here by L2K. Setting up, creating vertical angles, putting down some pressure onto the defense, making sure they don't freely can rotate around as a grenade is attempted to be used to take out the Electro Claw, but it doesn't seem to be working out quite well. So a second one is being used, and yet again, no joy. The hatch will remain closed. There's still another Electro Claw left as well to be used by Sparko, and it looks like it will be going towards the kitchen side of things, and thus that detonation will not come through either, I believe, unless it's also on the side of it. Sparko taking a lot of damage in these last 45 seconds. What does L2K actually have to try and go and execute with?
Well, the Clash is just kind of dancing a game here. Has her ability to pull back into the site if they need to, but from this point onwards, the pressure's coming from that main door. Blank is stepping in and stepping down and seeing if they can get some control. They are steady, as we said before, but steady leads to walls, and walls lead to only 20 seconds left. You've got to try and make it work sooner rather than later, and there it is. The first falls to the wall. Sparko swings around the side and gets one. The pinch comes on the opposite as Skipper finds a piece, but there is another trade for trade. Step for step, they're inside. The steps have led to a little bit of success, but with only 5 seconds, they've got to try and find more, and with no diffuser in hand, well, it's live to kill that just go and live and kill.
The Clash here going too close. I like what he tried to do right there. Because the teammates were falling. They knew that people were coming in from the likes of blue, so he had to try and change positions there. Unfortunately, not working out. The knife just came through, not angling the shield properly enough, and thus there was no time for him to stay alive right there. Got taken out. The plant wasn't even needed to be attempted right there by L2K, who now take the lead again in a round that probably shouldn't have been lost by Union, because they had the mirror windows, they had the time, and they had the manpower, and yet they weren't able to close it out.
Live to kill. They stepped themselves into the site and made sure that everything was well played. I guess, if I'm honest, as a very rough statement, they didn't have the diffuser. They didn't have any possibility of getting to the diffuser. They had to go for kills. We'll talk about Jittery just being shot in a second, but they had to go for kills. And I think, based on how they were playing on Cafe, if one of their players still had the diffuser, they would have tried to play the objective, which isn't explicitly false, but every time we've seen them do that, they've lost. And with what we've seen them be more successful at is this aggression, is this hyperplay, is this push in, get kills. Union struggle at stopping it. I kind of want them to forget about the diffuser a little bit more. And there's a lot of people that heavily disagree with that. And I do as well. I play objective for when I try because I can't aim. But these guys can. And they do it well. And they are successful when they forget about the plant. And you kind of want them, you want to see what happens if they play against it. If they play against Union's lack of ability to shut that down when it's not a plant-focused round.
It's always the thing, right? You go into it by, let's get this diffuser down. We are trying to cut open this wall, take out this piece of utility. We toss the smoke up there. We get a grenade out there to try and cancel them out. You hold this angle, we hold this angle, and we go for a plan. However, plans are there to never be followed because they always fall apart. It's rule number 1 of planning. It never goes according to plan.
Oh, yeah.
And you need to adapt, and sometimes that means you can continue with pushing down the diffuser because you still have the cover that's necessary, but sometimes that means you need to go aggressive for just a little bit, put up some pressure, get 1 kill or 2 kills more before you could even attempt to, and sometimes you just have to kill everybody because there's no time and you don't have the control. And that's the adaptation, and that's what makes great teams. Like, you always go in with a plan. That's a good plan. EX7 and an ID.
Blank
to execute
suffering.
it. That's a good kill.
Yeah, Blank suffering as well. The man who was causing so many problems with his play on those doors and those angles before is shut down and shut out. Maverick's gone and the Hard Destruction is left a little bit wondering what to do because you have... Oh, who's that? It's EX7's Mute Jammer on the other side of the wall, stopping the approach. They can't get through it. They can't quite find the angle. They've been able to get it from the window now and can finally pop it, but that 30 seconds all built from one man going on a roam run out. The hefty repositioning that they've had to do now is going to make this secondary approach a little bit more stressful. They have eyes and angles on the main staircase as they look towards the bodies and potential of anyone else moving around, but hey, that's Nos. And hey, he's watching and waiting for some possibility. There's another body gone. Skipper swings around, gets Jittery from underneath, and, well, heads back round to offer some jacuzzi trouble.
very unnecessary there to hold it like that. That is just throwing away your life right there, as another opening will be made soon. Sparko is in a key position right now, as well, he's going to be trying to shoot off the X-Kairos in time, but it's going to be way too late, and as his head would be exposed, has to rotate out, and now needs to fall back into that secondary position we just have been talking about as the drones start rolling in. 35 seconds on the clock. EX7, the roamer, will be taken down. Nos on the stairs will lose his life, however, as Sandy was ready to respond to that one, and the last two members are going to be coming in from the likes of that Jacuzzi wall. Still one that is basically missing in action, and that's Jade that will be able to pick up the kill into Sparko. Another kill comes in. Fatals will be able to pick that one up. Sandy is the last man standing, needs to stay alive as this plan now goes down, goes from below, still has that C4. Will he be in time? The pings are there. It's the detonation, but it's just too late. It's going to be a triple kill from him, and it's only up to Jay right now, who knows where he will be coming from. He has to come from those main stairs. There is, however, a camera that will be giving live pings out to the teammates as there is the kill. Potentially to be coming through as the defuse is there, but he won't spot it, eventually gets it anyway. Blind fires it, and Live to Kill are able to pick up yet another round after the C4 just coming out too late. They had the right ID, just not the right speed.
Very close and well played from both of those two players. Again, as you said, it was the right idea, but the difference between the intel coming through and things opted, there wasn't a dropped second. We heard the ping from the perspective of the single defender, and we saw instantly they moved momentum and swung round. The reason they went for the door first was potentially if it was in a position they could swing onto. If they weren't known that they were there, they might have been able to get it from a firefight, which is obviously a more instant approach. They knew the ping came through, and then it was step for step. And it was unfortunate, because a sliver of a second the other way, and that would have been their round, their game. But also credit to Habana. She realized where the pressure was coming from, realized that the man had to come from the same place too, and went, well, why don't I just do what we did there? Why don't I just watch from the opposite side? They've made a nice big hole for me right on the diffuser. I have an angle and an idea. They tried to stick it, tried to bait it and play it. They had a lot of time left to potentially jiggle that diffuser and the aggression around it, but instead, well, I'm assuming they got the call. They've gone downstairs and they trusted it, but unfortunately, as you should well know, it's not safe there.
It is very not safe there. It is not what you would like to have. And as these new jammers are being put up right here, the next defense attempt of Union will be set up. That's 2 rounds in a row that they probably should have won, but managed to lose as L2K comes in quite clutch. The question is, how many more of these rounds will L2K be able to just, well, basically scratch out underneath Union? Because it just keeps on happening time and time and time again.
Well, now, as we start to see the potential that could grow from this situation, let's see where it leads to. You now have 2 good rounds in a row, and you now have a situation where you might be able to make something from this Live to Kill. Obviously, we talked about how successful you can be on your attacks on Clubhouse, especially with these bans and these operators still available and all of the hard destruction potentially to play with. You've been able to take 2 in very different but also seat-clutchingly aggressive manners. So we're looking at the potential of a 3rd. Concerned with the rotation and the possibility of the hatch being played, the drone fervently works at the feet of Nos, and well, I guess from this point onwards, we'll see if there is a growth. Now, a steady approach seems to happen. A steady kind of careen and, I guess, idea and angle towards the site itself. Finally, some of this hard destruction starts to get popped open as they get their angles and ideas onto the site itself. Very important wall that often falls in a manner of different ways. The impact doesn't quite catch the Selma, but the Selma doesn't quite catch the wall properly. I guess we'll find out sooner rather than later whether that's the big blow towards the attack and the approach, or if it's just a little bit of soft that's still left and isn't the hard and the danger that otherwise comes through. Fatals finds Jittery. Big trade and a big bit of damage now as they keep an eye on a watch on a flank and can't quite catch it. Nos misses. The bullets slip past Sparko, who's able to find himself a new hovel and home inside by the bike. Still under pressure, sure, but still alive. That's the important part. Skipper's underneath with the frag grenades. Can't quite get the balance and the cook right to get the bodies upstairs. EX7 is the one on the rafters, and here comes another frag grenade, and there goes another player. Sparko finds one, but Skipper finds Sparko. The trades finally come out underneath. 3 versus 4, 45 seconds on the board, but the diffuser's cold. And Hibana is almost cold too. Bold pick up there by JV. Went a little bit too close to the fire there and headed into the room, but the frag grenades are still falling. The rain of the constant explosions of high explosions isn't quite explosive enough to really catch the bodies. A misthrown smoke canister is another terrible part of the story that's being woven in the thrown utility. The flash canisters doesn't quite catch Sandy on the top, and well, the smoke canister finally does stops the approach onto the encroaching wall. JV has 15 seconds and has a slight slip to try and go in, slightly off the default plant spot, but Sandy goes down. There's the swing, there's the pickup of 1 versus 2. Beats in the middle, he's isolated between the 2 remaining players. The swing goes behind the stack of monitors in the center, can't quite find the pick, and the pinch finds a body and knows the plant's going down, suffers the shoulder of damage, but suffers a little bit more. Live to kill! You are on map point, and you are 1 round away from taking this out of Union Gaming's hands.
Indeed, 1 round away, potentially picking up this second map, forcing us into a third. And that's 3 map points. 3 map points this time compared to the one they had before, where they can make sure that they are going to be, well, that 1 map in, have another opportunity of going up to that tertiary map where there is the, well, the ever so glooming potential grand final spot.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous how this is kind of playing out for Union at this point. Obviously, this is a situation where twice in a row they found themselves on the possibility of going down. A rehost happening twice in a row on the map point. Unfortunately, these things happen, but is it a moment now for the team and the momentum to build themselves around and build themselves into a situation where they can really lock down? You are only 1 round away, live to kill, from being able to find yourself, well, 1 map away. You still have a bit left to do, sure, but you have a lead of 3. 3 chances for you to lock off Clubhouse, the map where they wanted to bring you and a map where you have performed very well.
That proves troublesome, right? Because it is Union Gaming on their defense. 2 of these 3 rounds that were just won should have been won by Union. However, they were unable to pick up any of them because they just throw it away in these last couple of seconds time and time again. And that is something they will really have to start doing. And if you combine this with the droning that we have seen from them, so many more attack rounds could have been won if they droned a little bit better. So many of these defensive rounds could have been won if they had a bit more composure till those last final dying moments.
And that's it. That's the kind of crux of this, because for all that we've said about this being a bit of an underdog statement and a bit of a underdog showing, is for us and for everyone watching, Union Gaming haven't had the control of information or the intel that you would expect of a team of their kind of caliber, of what they've been able to put out before. They haven't had the control in what was supposed to be a very kind of easier match for them. We had this earlier with the discussion of Mercenaries and Monkus, where it kind of built up to be Mercenaries' game. And it was under the information, under the influence of, yeah, sure, Monka are playing very, very good, but Mercenaries, they're playing that bit better, and they are that bit better today and in the previous showings. Here, it's not that story. It's 2 teams. They can't quite find the true edge here. And over the past few rounds, we've just seen Union kind of fall a bit to bits. They don't have the quick pace, trade, and fire and fury that seems to be in the hands of Time to Kill.
And that is the issue, right? Like, Union Gaming, they have a lot of pressure on them here as well. Something you cannot forget. They are the team that is chosen to be the region's favorite, potentially the region's representative here, if they would be making it all the way to the grand finals, win that one, as they would be going over to the SI. And they're also the only team that could achieve such a goal. But that doesn't stop the other teams. They want to prove that they are better than Union Gaming, that Union Gaming is not the best that the region has to offer, and they want to be there to take that crown, to take that title, and to call themselves the major champions. And Union is really starting to feel that pressure, it looks like.
And that's it. That's the kind of build-up here, is they're still technically 1 map ahead, sure, but this is also their map. So the split and the idea of momentum that might be able to build and pull from this is in a way worrying, because for them, if they let this slip forward, if they let this fall out of their hands and their fingers for one more time and one more trip, when they get to that last map, they know that they've got to step up, and they've got to step up in a big way. They know that their map came down to max OT, and they can kind of see the fact that their opponents are heating up. Their opponents are putting more of a difference and more of a distance between them. Their opponents could have and were the closest originally to being able to pull that first map. They can tell that they're in a bit of danger here, and, well, they can tell that they've got a lot of work to do, even if, especially, they get to that third map.
That's it. The third map, that would be where all the pressure comes down. And well, if I'm just looking at UnionGaming, it's a lot of default mistakes that they're making, you know, rookie mistakes, you could almost say. And those are the mistakes we didn't see them really, well, be called guilty at during the previous major. Droning, misusing the utility, just, you know, like not cooking the grenades properly is one of those things as well. And then you have it here on the defense, just going too aggressive at the wrong time, potentially even there. Like, you're losing rounds that you should be winning by definite. And you're losing players when there is totally no need for it, when you should even be getting those kills, because a single drone so often would have been isolating the position of, well, more often than not, Blank, and you would have been able to pick him up. And Blank has been really disruptive so far here today.
And that's it, is I think what they have and what they've played well is confidence. They've been able to look across the map and look at ways that they can apply themselves. And it's one of the things I said at the very beginning of their attack half, was where they are the most successful is when they see an opportunity. And they do not hesitate to take it. They are much more likely to try and throw themselves through an open hatch than they are to see a closed hatch and spend too much time trying to get it open. They find success in short, quick bursts of this very well-played aggression. It's sometimes a mixed story, sure, but that energy and that confidence against a team that's underperforming and already feels a little bit less confident becomes bigger and more apparent as those two opposing mechanics start to fluctuate and start to crash and clash into each other as the game develops and extends. And that's something that we've seen over these past 3 rounds as well. It started with what looked like a very good Union hold that fell apart because of very aggressive play from L2K, who somehow found 3 quick frags. Then it was a 1 versus 1 situation where it started to pull again, and you know, they were able to get the plant down in, but it became a bit of a ring around the rosies rotation game. And the round we just saw there is they still had the cover from outside whilst they were putting the diffuser down, and they had time to put the diffuser down as well, something we haven't seen them have all day. That was the first time, I believe, we've seen them try and get the diffuser down, it not work, and they still have 10 seconds to find somewhere else. That's the sign of a team that's improving.
That is the sign of a team improving indeed. But let's get back into Clubhouse, as I believe we are ready to see potentially the final round if this map to go underway. And the question is, what do UG have left? Is L2K able to make sure that they can close it off here, they can end it here, and that they push us over to a map number 3, where suddenly all the pressure would truly be onto Union? Because, well, let's be frank, L2K, they were the team no one expected here to come and win this matchup, to go to the grand final, and if they would do so nonetheless. Like, they don't have pressure right now. They're just playing. And they're playing really well.
Just playing, having a good time, and trying to set yourself up now. 6-3, L2K. You're only, I guess, 1 round away from 1 more map, but you're 3 rounds away, potentially 4 or 5, from being kicked out of the whole tournament. So you got to try and make sure that this is where things matter, hit the mark, and make things work. Now then, as we start to grow, as we start to approach, and as we start to try and find ourselves into a situation of where is the difference going to come from here, where is the next step, and where is the next kind of control going to be, I guess now is the bit, now is the moment. Now is the kind of build-up of the possibility of the hold here. L2K, I'm curious to see if you can lock it off.
Can they lock it off? Last time they weren't able to. There was only 1 round that they had the opportunity to do so. This time they have 3. And this time, UG looks to be a lot more sloppy. compared to what they were in the previous map.
Oh,
as the first kill comes in, that's a good one. Is that a spawn kill? I think that's a spawn kill that just came through. With a C4 right there, Skipper will fall, and that is just Sledge gone. So they're no longer going to be able to put up the same pressure that they were able to in the past.
Yeah, and now I guess it's the supposed strike that they want to make happen here. Quick pop on Selma to be able to get the angle. There's nobody offering the intense confrontation, using it to get their way onto the jacuzzi wall. So they have an idea and an angle across the board, but from that point onwards, it's, I guess, just seeing where else they can build from, where else they can find it. Taking the sledge out means that they're going to have to be a little bit more costly with the use of utility there. And now here's the approach onto these hatches. Blank is still in a situation where they can try and apply some pressure from underneath. Jittery is the one that's looking to try and offer some countenance here. They don't have to be too aggro. You assume they still have some of those discs to catch the charges that might pop their way. The shield keeps them a bit safe in the lockdown, and they assume you have the rotation just behind. Now, with another disc thrown out and another bit of a lifeline there and another bit of a hatch, he's going to pull away. Going to leave that as a slow and steady burn and hope it buys enough time.
There we go, motorcycle hatch will be opened up. L2K looking for a drop potentially, or for someone that could be active around it, as Fatals is hoping to pick up a kill, but no one is peeking it, no one is challenging it, and that means they need to find it elsewhere, as Nos tries to do so from the blue stock stairs. Jittery is hoping to take the battle onto him. Not going to be finding anything yet, and they're still busy with a potential roam play right here. Blank is still on that top floor. Crazily, weirdly enough, not going to be able to find anything, and with 50 seconds left, they surely need to find something quickly, and that's exactly what they need.
Now then, EX7 has gotten a big player and a big worry in the hands of UnionGaming, taken off the board as they try and apply the pressure down onto the man that they think might still be behind blue. It's Jittery that finds Fatals on the opposite side, finds the diffuser carrier and finds one more, swings onto the window. Bullets come through from Blank but can't quite catch anybody. Concerned about the swing and the rotation and the possibility from behind, but they're still peeking angles and Jittery's still taking people out. Sparko finds Nos. Union find their first round in 4, and Union still have 2 more if they want to bring this into OT.
They still have to find 2 more indeed if they want to be fighting at the overtime mark. If they want to be going up to, well, avoid themselves that map number 3 that is, well, ever so looming over them right now. They want to close it off here. They do not want to go to map 3 because that means they have an opportunity of losing it out if they aren't able to perform there. And they might just have an off day here. It might just not be their day. Something might be wrong in communications or, you know, something like that, which is fixable. You just need a day. You might need a night. Just sit over it with your coach, talk about what went wrong, make sure it doesn't happen again. And if you can make sure it doesn't happen again, then tomorrow against Mercenaries, you might have a better faring, because as it is going right now, UnionGaming, they need to improve a lot.
Setting themselves up for CC instead of Jim, opting to try and shake up the rotation that wasn't successful previously, might try and prove a little prudent if they can play against the ideas, okay? It's still a top floor site and it's still taken in kind of a mirrored way where you get control of the other side anyway for a lot of the possibilities of being able to lock yourself in, but this was also where L2K, as I said before, had probably their most arguably successful attack. The time that they had to be able to get the diffuser down and move it around if they needed to proved the point that took them the point. And now it's a slightly different sight to behold as they set themselves up to try and take sight of the site that was otherwise hold just before. EX7 is on the rotation possibility and is looking to try and, I guess, keep some control here.
Trying to get the control. Indeed, as we are in one of the many match points, or map points. It was 3. There's only 2 left right now, and well, L2K, they need to put up that pressure like they have been able to do so many times before. As the walls are being opened up right now, that gives them a bit of an opening. But is it going to be enough this time? Is it going to be enough like last time? Or is UnionGaming going to be able to respond more effectively this time around? Make sure that the round won't go into, well, Union's their way.
Well, now, obviously, we're still seeing a kind of lock-off there, as they don't really want to play the games too much. Blank hasn't been fantastic with a Maverick, I think it's fair to say.
Well, not really. Not the same amount like he had during before the rehost. So there's room for improvement during this post rehost.
Some questionable
session.
Portraits and bits of art being made. They're trying to pop the corners and see if they can catch anybody in, but obviously they're not going for bigger, more aggressive Maverick tricks. They're not really having to be played against that too much. Droning, live to kill, and unfortunately suffering as Blank is taken out. The aforementioned Maverick isn't able to even begin to use his frag grenades as he's cut, moving across the window. Sparko finds Skipper too. Suddenly, after a rehost and a bit of a team talk, they've been able to get themselves in and cause some turmoil for the attack here. Live to kill haven't been able to find their way into the building, but at least find Sparko shut down. The team captain with Jittery shutting down Fatals. That is now a big loss, as they've obviously lost 2 big bits of hard destruction. They've lost all their frag grenades, and it's just down to Nos and JV.
Yeah, but Nos trying to go for the gunfight will eventually be able to pick up that kill onto Jittery. He was a bit, well, jittery, that gunfight, but he managed to land it nonetheless. And that puts us in a 2-on-3 situation where UG needs to make sure that they do not toss away the advantage they had right now. They need to make sure that they're going to be able to survive this round, that they can push on towards round number 12, where they could fight for that overtime situation, because we saw in the last map that the overtime was where they managed to get alive, where they were able to deal with the pressure and suddenly take control of the map and of the victory. With 20 seconds left on the clock, one more smoke canister will be used, but in the wrong side. Nos is coming from highway, and we have one more, well, sneaking around in construction as well, so they need to make sure that they cover off these angles. 10 seconds left. The time is going to be ticking. The question is, are they going to be able to get a plan down, or will they go for kills?
Well, a quick double kill proves in a position, but with the plant still going down, you have 2 seconds to get there, and JV just gets caught by EX7, able to find the head of the Habana, a slightly different position in the room. Might have been a different plant story, but a slightly different position in the room might have cost them a few more precious seconds. 6-5. Almost there, 1 round away. You're finding yourself in the same position you were in the last map, and the last map you took at the end of it. But, unfortunately, as I hear the suffering that is occurring, we're going to have to cast a little bit of a magical spell as Hap. If you haven't been picked up, and you got to give credit to the poor boy, his clean feed has not worked for at least a handful of rounds. So we're going to swap him, and we're going to bring in my main man, the UK massive duo. It's Desertu. Oh, you know, pretty good. You've been watching from home? Oh, that's good. He did get that. Yeah.
At a time, but hey, we got the end result we needed. It puts us through to match point, right?
Don't even put
Just to make
my
things
face.
clear, you can play by play, I'll colour. We'll leave it like that.
That's fine. We'll paint it that. I'm very curious as well for the reaction that happened in the other Discord as to the moment where it was the swing on the door of construction, which won the round previously. I can only imagine how that sounded inside that call, where they don't have to mind the words that they say so much. Now, though, UnionGaming had a rehost and had 2 rounds of success, but they have 1 more to beat, and it's Gym, a site where a C4 was almost the Cinderella story before it was unfortunately shut down because they forgot of the hole that they gosh dang opened.
The one thing that really pained us chatting in the other Discord was the fact that they brought 3 hard breaches for the downstairs site a couple of rounds prior and still couldn't get things like Moto Hatch open. So a couple of slip-up moments for Live to Kill that remind me a lot of map 1 actually, but the one thing to really give them credit for is when the chips are down, even when UnionGaming are getting the 2 opening kills even, you just cannot count L2K out. They're still coming back swinging, they're still dropping numbers, and that's why you really can't count them out here. It's been definitely a comeback by Union, and things starting out a bit rough for them with the X7 being the one going down. But again, Live to Kill. I could see this going here 7-5 and us being forced through to the 3rd map.
It would not surprise me, but they have been very, very aggressive in these situations. And what I like to see right now is no lack of confidence, which was something that you were a bit concerned about because before they were building and building, lose the momentum. Here, though, they're making sure that they bring this last round and keep it in their grasp. Jacuzzi opened in pretty quick fashion as they also approach and put the pressure onto CCTV on the opposite side as well. They're aware of the single player playing in the backside and pop as much utility as they can. Either side can become a bit of a pinch here. The drones are steadily making their way through. The frag grenade too, and goodbye. Sandy taken out and blown apart inside that room, but Jittery is taken care too. Swung wide and swung out as they find themselves in a 2 versus 5.
Oh, this is so huge now. Beating Sparko in a spot where they've got everything to do. Otherwise, map number 3 is upon us. They're a little bit aggressive on the swings, but really good clear of the roamers by L2K. They know they're in a commanding spot. Get on the drones, boys. Take your time. There is still 80 seconds to play in the round. There's no need to panic or feel like you need to rush because they can throw this away. That's the first kill coming back across, Fluke.
Yeah, and Beat drops blank and finds themselves with a bit of pressure now. Nos and Skip are also struggling as they almost pull out the wrong bit of utility, but there goes Beat. Caught him adrift as they pop the back of the man. They don't quite get it though. Fatals swings round, misfired, missed bullets, missed arm day around the stack of weights, but unfortunately Fatals did not. And his arms knocked you out. Live to kill. Pull back the map, pull back any hopes of pulling themselves through and pull themselves towards a 3rd position.
They do, and that means the next map coming up will be Vela, which last time ended 7-4 to Union, arguably one of the better maps we saw out of Live to Kill. And I think the constant that we have seen from them so far is that you just can't count them out. The results are looking far better. Admittedly, a bit of a whiff in that final spray down coming at the very end out of Union, but hey, these things happen.
These things happen. You know, you make mistakes when you're in those kind of situations. And to be honest, it's credit to them for being able to lock it out at the end because a couple of rounds went away from them. But at the end of it, they're able to pull it apart. I guess it's lucky that we now, instead of throwing to the desk, throw to commercials. So you can go to your other desk to be ready to be on the desk. But we'll do that in just a second. Thank you for joining me for these couple of rounds. Maybe Hap will be back. Maybe I'll have double des. Who knows? I guess some might care. We'll see you after some commercials.
I guess some might care.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Jess and Des join me again on the analyst desk. And you know what? L2K, well, they were teaching UnionGaming how to play. That's more like L2 Play on Clubhouse. Ended up going their way as Union could not fight their way back and take it to yet another overtime. We've already had one on Cafe, couldn't get it through on Clubhouse. L2K, take it to map 3 Villa.
Des?
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, continue. I think Milos has just passed out. He's gone. That's it. You're now here with me and the giggle box to my left-hand side. You stay on the floor, Milos. This is totally fine. Villa is the next map.
Yes, go ahead.
Villa is the next map, but touching a little more on club. You okay there, Jess? Are you composed now?
Oh, yo, am I composed? Did you see what I hosted? He just dropped on the ground like a child in a supermarket throwing a tantrum. I mean, geez.
Really taking roll on floor.
Wait a second.
To the next level. Well
what
done,
the hell
Milos.
did I do here? Okay, fair enough. Continue.
I mean, disappeared from the camera. I shall, don't worry. The first half of the map for me was really a repeat, I think, of what we saw back on map number 1, where coin flip what happened in each round, who was going to take it. You have rounds like round number 2 where Blank is just sat inside of dirt and kills 3 people as they've run in one by one. Hello, where on earth are the drones? You then look towards the next round where UnionGaming, chef's kiss, perfect clear of garage, 3 versus 5 left for the other side of live to kill. Live to kill, isn't it? It's live to kill.
L2K.
And they're in a spot where they just can't do anything. They're left trying to throw C4s out. They're being flanked by Union. Between rounds 2 and 3, it was just a different UnionGaming that we saw. And the way I summarized this and speaking to a couple of the players in DMs was I think L2K are just this team where in a certain round, a player can pop and literally single-handedly destroy Union. If that carries on, fair play. If UnionGaming get more control of that and put these players under lock and key, it could be a very, very different story on Villa, especially given the size of the map.
I think what really goes to show, and I'm probably going to piggyback a little bit on your point there, is that on defense, I felt that from L2K on their defensive half, but on their attacking half, I actually felt quite different from that sentiment. I actually felt like I was watching a team that could overwhelm UnionGaming quite easily, and not because they were exceptional at their attacking rounds. I mean, it definitely looked that way, but if you look at it through a micro-analysis lens, it actually was UnionGaming doing a lot of mistakes. Oh, I'm going to peek here, I'm going to give you this kill. Oh, I'm going to peek here, I'm going to give you this free kill. No trades coming out, and uncharacteristically for the South Asian region that we've all been talking about, there's been a lot of trades that we've seen today. I would know. I haven't left the office for like 10 hours now, so I've seen a lot of gameplay. There's a lot of trades, but in that particular map, there weren't for UnionGaming. Do I think that's what lost them a couple of their defensive rounds? Maybe, but I think that L2K are probably really good at manipulating those mistakes and using them to their best advantage, and as a result, they looked super dominant on their attack. Okay,
let's make up the tally before we go into Villa. Where is it? UnionGaming starting off on the attack for this one. So that's going to play into things. Union have been able to gather so far, 6 and then 7 rounds in total on the attack in both of these maps out of the 13, 18, and then 26 in total. So not really too hot when it comes to their attacking side. And of course, on the defense, they pretty much got the same amount, 6 in total. So yeah, starting off on that attacking side, it, in my opinion, might really hurt Union. But the problem is, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I cannot count them out because of the amount of times that they have fought back from like a 5-1 deficit and brought it back in their favor. So I'm just confused.
This is the thing, right? This was actually the map where they were down 5-0 while they were on their defensive half. They lost 5 defensive rounds and still managed to swing things back to come and win Theme Park as the third and final map to make it to the major. They've shown they like this map. And looking over the bracket for both of these two teams, I think they have one series each where Villa wasn't in the map picks they had for that series. Both teams love Villa, both very, very happy to play it. This should be a close game.
My difference point here is that I'm even thinking back to Monka S in the previous matchup, is that we've seen an evolved version of these teams compared to the last time. So when I'm looking at L2K here, I'm going, oh, well, in the playoffs, they didn't look very good. We gave them, we called them the freedom run to get here and everything like that. And now I'm being yet again, like I was with Monka S, proven wrong. And that's because between then and now, there has been a buttload of improvement. You can tell from, start to finish, absolutely. So for me, I'm sort of thinking, okay, no matter what Union Gaming's done in the past, have they been able to keep up with the improvement L2K's had? Because clearly they've had some damn improvement. And you can't just rely on just being able to reverse sweep it here because they're not the same team anymore.
Yeah, it's our first time ever to have a Sri Lankan team playing. It's pretty much the entire squad is from Sri Lanka, and their big representation on the scene. We've had a lot of players from Pakistan, Bangladesh, a lot, India, of course, being the major country in the sub-region. But yeah, I think this really does mean a lot to the players in their own right. But after having watched Union and their failed attempt of bringing it back to OT, as they did successfully, at least on map 1, do believe this will go, and let's just say yay, nay. Okay? Union?
Nay.
I want to say yay. I want to see them in SI.
Nay. Me too.
Yay. Yay for SI. Let's do it, boys.
Okay. Yay for SI means Union Gaming need to win today versus L2K. And of course, Mercenaries that played earlier today versus Monka S. And they really gave them a handy slapping. They're awaiting in the grand final later on in the week, though. Jess, Des, thank you so much. We'll be back, all three of us, to talk about the match when it is done. But it's time to toss it back to our casters. Please enjoy. On map 3, we're going to Tuscany in Villa.
We actually get to keep Des as well, which is pretty good. He's still here. Sorry, I saw Milos do this. I look really comfortable, so... Do you mind?
No, not at all, mate, no. Can we just get into the map, please, production?
We're going to Villa. Now, you remember this. You specifically remember this. Villa was the map where there was a very particular pullback. Now, they almost didn't make it at all. They were so close, and they didn't. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Isn't that right? Look, yes. I'm the siege event. Hey, yeah, production put the fact in. I was sat there for about 3 minutes, waiting for the throw, because there wasn't a timer. And as soon as Milos did it, I was like, I know a joke I can do for this. Now I'm sat up. Now I'm stood up, kind of.
Perfect.
And we're heading in.
With us. It's not your hand doing the talking anymore.
No, it's not my hand doing the talking anymore. No, that was me. We are looking at Union Gaming. It still says 66%. Those, I believe, were the percentages pretty consistently throughout all of the day. If not, it's just the same percentage over and over. But Union, for me, haven't been playing great. And the thing about this map is this was where they staged the start of their comeback previously on the lower bracket.
It was where it all began, as you absolutely say. Yeah, down 0-5. Things didn't look too pretty for them. Everyone thought, that's it, they're going home. There's no way they make this now. But we go for the big recovery and swing things back all the way. We'll see if it happens a second time over, or if this turns out to be Live to Kill's day. And they are the team that, well, caused the largest upset, because, of course, if Live to Kill win, there is no South Asian team going to SI. Union Gaming are the only team that possibly can, because of the points that they got from the last major. So I guess it's kind of bittersweet. Live to Kill, like, yeah, we won, but also there's no South Asian team going to SI.
And I think that's the thing about it here as well, is if it ties me back into the interview with Mercenaries, where they kind of said, look, it would be great if someone from our region would go, but they've got to earn that spot. And I get it. You don't want to send your first representative to the biggest stage in the Siege universe as one that isn't quite up to the scratch or up to the standard. Yeah. More Ash Jaeger bans. I haven't actually heard your opinion on the consistent Ash Jaeger bans so far.
I find it very interesting. I think it just causes a bit of chaos because teams are just so used to having the Ash and the Jaeger available. Like, we know how prominent they are both in picks for both sides and pretty much for every single team on the planet right now. So just by causing a little bit of disarray and saying, look, we don't need these operators to really fly. We can make do with other things. It does mean you're relying very heavily on the Wamai magnets to really achieve any kind of counter utility. So you may as well just put it to bed and just say, look, grenades are going to fly. We can try and catch one or two, but it's absolutely not guaranteed. I like it. It makes things uncomfortable for Union Gaming, who coming in were the favourites. I think it's quite smart by Live to Kill.
I think their method of grenades is something that we've talked about a little bit before in the past as well, is they're not really bringing them with precision, which is a weird thing in this game where Siege kind of operates different to a lot of other FPS titles, where grenades are a surgical item in Siege. It's cooked, placed, balanced, kill.
Consistently, because you have to deal with utility like the Evil Eyes as well, of course. You can't just toss it out, turn away for 3 seconds and hope that it's dead afterwards. It does have to be well cooked, as you say, and well placed. So they are a very valuable tool. Without ADS is stacked up to catch them, you better be very, very scared if you're sat behind a shield somewhere, which I imagine we will see a couple of members of Live2Kill doing in this first round, given they have 2 on side. Interestingly, also seeing the sensor being brought along at the same time. Don't really see too much of that, to be fair. I think everyone saw it and was like, oh man, that's such a good bit of utility. Not many teams are leaning on it, to be honest.
And I think that's the thing as well, is the kind of counterpoint to that is Live2Kill, they've done this and they've put themselves in a situation where they play 4 frag grenades consistently. Across both maps, they've always had at least 4 frag grenades, but they don't play them with surgical precision. They kind of play them as in you would in other FPSs, where they get a rough idea on where the person is, or they have a rough idea on the hold, and they just kind of huck them. And they use it to burn Wamai discs sometimes as well. Like, they've just kind of thrown frag grenades. Even if they've got 3 flashes or any smoke still in pocket, they'll just kind of use them. And I think it's, for them, a kind of balance of we're used to this game that we've got and nobody else really hits, so we're just going to kind of keep playing our game. Talking of this game, Villa, it's slow and steady in the standard beat. And so has both of these 2 teams today. Every execution has almost always happened in the final, like, 30 seconds.
I think this is quite smart from UnionGaming as well. Likely identified from droning here that Live2Kill have got quite a few members stacked up towards the north side of the map. So what do? You move someone to play on 90, hang up on the window, and just wait and try and cut that rotate, forcing a lot of the members to push instead back down the top of red stairs into sight from there into Aviator and not be able to play around 90. That should let them strike big here if they can get away with it, but by the looks of it, actually, Skipper has dropped down below and will be coming up from the first floor. And there he is catching out Jittery. Really good rotate there to not get caught out on the rotate back to sight on the top floor.
You lose your Jackal to a rotate, and it's always one of those worrying moments, but they at least find the smoke. 2 operators that you wouldn't expect to go in such quick manners, but hey-ho, that's been also the other code of the day. Who really knows who's going to be the entrant confrontation? It seems to be every single player across these 2 5-man rosters. Equals 10 bouts of chaos. The body, 10-man siege. Jeez, imagine that. 20-person. That's the next Halloween event. Or April Fool's, actually. Blank suffers instantly, dropped down as they're swung round onto, with Beat, who's found his way into the site. The cover's there as they try and put it down. The smoke canister's going to make sure that Sparko can put the diffuser behind the strategy table, but the swing comes round. They didn't quite catch the man. The C4 gets caught, though. There's the swing, and there's the confrontation. It's now a 2 versus 2 out of nowhere, a 2 versus 1. Sandy with a triple kill inside, and now Skipper, the man who started this off in a very great rotation, has at least found his rotate back towards the site itself, but with 1 behind bar and Beat behind, well, the very strong vault door and a very steady diffuse without any audio coming through. You got to come up with a plan B here, Skipper. And unfortunately for you, it's a little bit too late to try and catch the diffuser. Instead, you go for a big round rotate here. Look towards the landing side to try and catch the man, but there's 1 inside the vault, and they catch you first. UnionGaming, for the first time in a long time, take a lead.
Does feel that way, doesn't it? After the onslaught of the second map on Club, Union did manage to draw even at 3-3, but after that it all went the way of L2K. But there in that little exchange, it's mad how the flurry of kills came through from Union in almost perfect precision as well. Now, speaking around this on the desk is that for L2K, they rely on chaos. They thrive in, I suppose, not unknown environments, but environments in which there's just not enough information to be able to act properly. And without the Ash and the Jaeger, you can't play, no doubt, how you've practiced for months and months and months to come to something like this. And I like how with UnionGaming at the last second, they have the information, they have the execute coming in at the perfect time. They close out 3 or 4 kills in very quick succession. Now L2K is there like, well, we can't rely so much on the gun skill anymore. Skipper might try as hard as he might, but it's still a 1 versus 2. Well recovered by Union in a round that I thought L2K were pretty much set to take away.
I've just seen a screenshot of you and I with my hand, sock puppet hand, and your expression of disdain, which is perfect. Yes. Screenshot.
Many expressions of disdain.
I have a big question. My question is how they were able to get all the way to strategy table and get themselves in a situation where they looked surprised by the ground that they'd been able to take from the Live2Kill defense. It was curious that all of that room was handed over to them. There didn't really seem to be too much in study, and there wasn't anything inside the strategy room, inside underneath that plane itself. So what was the hold there from Live to Kill, and was something missing, I guess, is a question we'll only have answered if they go back.
I've also just seen that picture now. Very good.
It's perfect, isn't it?
It is quite apt in my response to the calamity, calamitous humor you invent. I'm always just like, how does she do this? Where do these things come from in your head?
Honestly, my room is very warm right now. I accidentally played with the radiators earlier on today and have obviously done something wrong, which is why I am suffering whenever you see me on camera and why I'm losing my mind. Yeah, exactly. I'm completely fried right now, almost like the windows. As they find their approach here underneath, Jittery isn't quite in and isn't quite suffering as quickly as they did before, but now they're going to try and capitalize on the verticality that this offers. There's a lot of possibility here, but again, there's a lot of concern because there was rotations before and rotations struck them, and rotations are going to be the name of the game to keep an eye on from beat 2.
I like how Union have acknowledged the problem here is that Live to Kill are just terrifying. When you leave them to their own devices, individual players can pop up out of nowhere and find multiple kills. Let's make sure we deal with them first. And the Jackal, sure, maybe it's a concession of another operator you would like to bring along with some more utility to use, but it's the safety that it provides. You'll see those footsteps, you'll know if anyone on Live to Kill has been trying to get particularly chaotic around the map, but it also paves the way for the IQ to get in place and start removing these gadgets from below. And without a Thatcher on side, what's the best way to deal with the bandits? Well, get below. There's a lot of soft flooring on Villa. Destroy them from below to make it easier to execute through walls later on, because it needs to be as easy as possible, given you only have 3 Selmas to help you in getting walls open in this round.
Now then, as you hold angles and wait with bated breath for any sense of approach right now, all the bodies are still standing, and the Selmas are going to be the ones that go over the shoulder and try and get the wall popped open. Skipper is a bit concerned and is going to try and catch the next with a Wamai, but the bullets come over the top. They at least know the presence is there, but getting control is a very different story. Still steadily Selmas pop, and still steadily Skipper misses. One pops in, Jittery is able to try and find themselves inside the walk-in closet, and it's just going to put more and more pinch pressure onto Omai that's steadily throwing as many discs out as they can. Now, the swing can come around from the shields as they get the shoulder and the concern. With 30 seconds, though, whatever happens from Union, it's got to be close, and it's almost as close as that firefight as it almost hits for the second time in the third, but it's the fourth that takes it. EX7 blows himself up with an accident that happens on the opposite side. You talk of those frag grenades being misused. There's no worse use than that. 4 versus 2. Sparko and Sandy, the 2 S's left, but only one is able to try and slither their way into the site, with Sandy getting one on the opposite side. Swings back round to the trophy, but the Banshee screams out and gives the game away. Battles over the pig and the other stuffed animals, but they can't quite find anything inside the smoke. Covered. Fatals lives up to his name and ends the fatal run of a round that Union didn't have any control on.
Just literally having smoke canisters throwing it in from every single angle there. Couldn't go forward, couldn't go back. Only choice was to die. And I think that round really epitomizes what I've been speaking about with the side of Live to Kill, is that UnionGaming spent so much time clearing the map with the Jackal leading them in. We got to 30 seconds and no one had died. And then it comes around to the execute. You're like, cool, downstairs is clear, the utility is gone. We know we can complete this now. But they lose out with a self-frag grenade. Things start getting caught out once they try and go for a pixel peek onto a shield. And it all just falls apart from there. Live to Kill can be absolutely terrifying when it comes around to execution time. And well, they paid the price for it. They lost round number 2.
Well, an early rehost is the one that's called this time round, as yet again EX7 is unfortunately having internet trouble, so we find ourselves back here. I know that actually you and Jess had a lot of rehosts earlier on in the game.
We did.
And you've brought that with you, thank you. We only had
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, you were doing questions and answers. Hap doesn't understand the concept of questions. It confuses him, blows his mind up. He prefers things to be written out for him already. So I can't really do that with him. Instead, I have to make references he doesn't quite understand. I think now, though, it's worth just quickly highlighting, before I completely lose my mind, is the game itself taking the first round with what, in a way, seemed like surprise from UnionGaming. How important that's going to be in the second half if they have this start, this at least 1 round buffer on what is Villa.
Yeah, I think really Union here is saying, look, we need a couple of rounds buffer. It tends to be the go-to. You tend to see Aviator games and Trophy Snatchery won by the defenders every single time in those more offsides, I guess. Dining Hall is the one that you look towards being the site that tends to get won by the attackers. Take vertical control, go for a plant, defenders can't move around, bish, bash, bosh, job's done. So if I see them get a second round here, I'm feeling very optimistic. If we get towards rounds 5 and 6 and we're talking about L2K and saying, hey, they've got 2, 3, 4 rounds on the bounce now, that's a very, very different conversation to have, because I know previously they didn't get many attacking rounds. If they can find the majority of the defensive rounds and go into the other side, given how they've played so far today, they could just come at Union with sheer aggression and crush them off the back of that and end the dream for South Asia of a team going to SI. You mentioned earlier on, actually, around like, we want the team to have earned the right to go there. They need to perform really well. It just strikes me as like a really crappy villain in like a Hollywood movie where it's like, oh, only the strongest will live, otherwise the whole world can die. And if you don't survive my nuke, you are a weak person. That kind of thing. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, it's an old martial arts movie. It's you've got to be the best in the dojo if you want to be able to go to the grand tournament and try and street fight your way through. It's this situation of, I guess all eyes were on this Union mercenaries. This is the story. This is the one that will be told about the region and is already told about the region from the last time, from the already heated history between these two teams in terms of always generally being the success story. And now it's this other entity that shows up and kind of goes, well, there's a bit more depth. If anything, that's my favorite story of the entire APAC region. And the new system is all these other teams that we otherwise didn't know about, like Xavier, like, the ones that we didn't otherwise get the eyes on, and Fav as well. And it's this kind of look at what they can do. Here's just potentially another one of those teams. Live to Kill, their methods are aggressive and at times confusing, but successful.
It's funny you say that, because I was speaking to Shan from Moncares, who equally earlier on gave us a similar sort of image, right? Where they brought out this aggression that we didn't see from them last time around, and they really took the other side of Mercenaries to task, I thought. And we're seeing the same here from Live to Kill, a team that we didn't see last time, are really putting the arguably currently running, proven best team in the region, given they won the last major. They're really putting them to task and saying, look, you can't afford to be shaky against us. And I said it on the last desk earlier on, ultimately. I think just by having the opportunity for a team to get to SI, by having majors like this put on, it's going to bring the whole region up so much more. I mean, even UnionGaming said, since making it to the major, we picked up a coach. We're not saying who it is yet. Apparently, it's a European coach. We can't say what the name is just yet. I don't know it either, but they are taking this a lot more seriously. And think about what that means for the region as a whole. It's going to be beautiful moving forwards.
That's it, because I know that they were openly applying. They were trying to find somebody to help bolster the team. They originally, I guess it was a bit of a story of they didn't know if this was really going to play out in terms of from their win before might have at one point been enough to guarantee them an SI spot. Obviously, that's not the story. They were able to get this tournament together, which I guess it's one of those things where it's like if they'd have got the free trip, I say a freer trip, they still earned it, but it would have been a freer trip. They would have taken it. They don't, and they've still got to fight for it. And I guess depending on the result of this tournament is whether they're going to be like, yeah, we were fine with that decision, or I kind of wish it had gone the other way. Really?
Yeah.
I suppose that's one of the things where it's always asking them. But at the same time, as you said, they're getting a coach in. They're getting a coach from a different region in, which is important. It's expanding the mindset and the bubble that a lot of siege regions have.
I said the same story about APAC North in general this year, I think, because it's the first time we've seen a lot of teams from that area of the world really being able to play against each other. Teams that normally you'd only see ever face off against each other at finals, where LAN and best of series is a very different story to regular league play. It should bring the whole thing up, and South Asia, of course, is included in that. Really can't complain.
That's it. It's the joyous culmination, the celebration of community that they love to tweet about so much. It was one of the things as well when you watch the videos and you watch all the stories of like, look at all this, look at all the SI, look at all this stuff. And it's coming to EU. Spread the word. Let's see it there. Although obviously it's a bubble.
Get wrecked, so Montreal.
We'll just have to watch. We'll just have to watch from range. But yeah, it's one of those stories where having a glimpse and having a response from the whole world and having a presence there would be fantastic. But we all also know it's an earned presence. It's sure, the balance of who gets SI points and when is different per region and per league and per zone. But at the same time, we're still seeing generally teams from everywhere around the world having a possibility and a possible chance of getting here.
With the qualifiers as well coming up, even if someone does fall down here, I'm pretty sure there is going to be a method for a South Asian team to fight through those qualifiers and earn their spot there. Of course, you'll have to face off against all the APAC North teams and others, no doubt, that are vying for it, Oceania as well. It's going to be a real scrap in this region, I think, to see who makes it. Given there is only one qualifier spot, it's going to be pretty competitive.
I think that's it too, as well, is the amount of competition, the amount of stress that puts themselves into this section is worrying, because you can sometimes see teams crumble when they suffer under stress and they suffer under the weight of, we are expected to win this and we're not. Things go wrong. And I think we've seen that today from Union. I think that there's been little sloppy moments and little sloppy decisions that's been droning, or it's been use of utility, or it's been whatever, but it's not been great. It's not been what they've been capable of before. And I would say it's been because they have these expectations on themselves.
Yeah. And that's been the wilder story for today, I think. Just an update for everyone as well. We are still, of course, waiting for EX7 to get back in. I think he had an issue with high ping, so getting that addressed before we jump back in. It's not just two idiots sitting here talking rubbish for no reason at all. It's always because we are waiting for something to happen. Look above Fluke's head. She's got a nice little icon there showing rehost ongoing. Guess what that means? There's a rehost ongoing. Can't do anything about it. Have to wait for the players to get back in lobby. So before you start panicking, don't. It's being addressed.
Surprisingly, guys, we like watching Siege as much as you guys do. Imagine that. Think for a second how crazy that would be. And it's true. I'm not lying to you or pulling your leg. We're only here as the rehost is ongoing because we need to make sure that there's something called competitive integrity, where everybody is set up and in a good position.
That needs a much more hyped up gruff voice than that, like, competitive integrity.
Competitive integrity. I recently watched a show, and it's an Australian comedy show that's come to Netflix that I won't name the name of for, I'm not marketing, whatever, but they do that voice a lot, and I cannot stop doing it, and I'm really sorry.
But what's the voice? I'm curious. That one that you just did.
It's just this voice. I also did that as well. I did a Morgan Freeman. You know how
I remember. I saw the video on your damn
we
Twitter.
record those videos that go out, and they go out on like Instagram. That's like, hey, tune in. It's day 2. Whoa, this game's on. And I got a picture of Morgan Freeman, and I was like, I would like you all to watch Rainbow Six Siege. And they said, they were like, we probably can't get the image rights for Morgan Freeman. So I had to
like that's the problem, right? Just the image rights.
Not me doing I would like to say G2 made it. I would like to. But me being kicked off. If I never get allowed
kicked off?
Yeah, if I never get allowed to do content.
I thought you were saying I was being misplaced, and I was like, what's going on?
But also with those videos as well, I like how like you and I did ours in the eventual ones where we're just like sat in a chair like, hey, tune in, this game's on. And then Jess uploaded, it was like a 5-minute video of sped up, like the hour she spent lighting and filming and doing hers. I felt like the naughty kid in school. I was like, maybe I shouldn't have aimed for a D. Maybe I should have.
Maybe you should have aimed for that A star like she did. God, try hard. Nerd, right?
She's such a nerd. No, she's great.
Awful person, man.
She dedicates herself. Another person who's great is Medics. Why? Many reasons. But the most important one is he just told us we're starting soon, which is pretty good. I'm sure you guys are over the moon at that news, because it means you don't have to look at me anymore.
We'll be back in very, very shortly. And I guess as a final way to reintroduce us back into this map is one to think about. Again, this whole series so far between the two teams has been very, very back and forth. It's kind of a grab a coin, flip it to tell how the next round is going to go. Because you've had occasional players, Blank being the one that I'm always going to remember is 3K pushing out of dirt on Clubhouse. These things happen. Now, if you find one player with a good flank on the side of the defense to catch the attackers out late round, everything falls apart. And that's what you're looking from L2K. UnionGaming looking to bring some unity to the team, to bring a little bit of composure, to not find yourself isolated and being picked off as a straggler. That's what we're looking for here going into the rest of this half.
Now then, second round through and second situation. We're on to the third, and we're back.
Oh, there's a change. Dagger is in on the side of UnionGaming, the bottom left.
Oh, yeah. Okay. EX7 gone. Unfortunately.
No, he's still there. He's right above that. Fluke, goddammit, lift your eyes.
No! You said bottom left, and I looked to the bottom left, and I refused to look anywhere else.
In place of Sandy, I believe.
Sandy's gone. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, it's all approved rosters. These are decisions that would have to be approved. So, everything's above board. And hey, let's see what Dagger can do. It was actually one of the things that we talked about before. All these teams have at minimum 6-person rosters. None of them have less than 6 players. Some of them have 8-player rosters. And maybe it's because the situation.
Do you think that's
like
because of internet?
It's potential. It's obviously you've got to. It's one of those big-sighted things about esports as well, is the infrastructure. It's one of those things where they said it, and it's not as prevalent in this, but across the board, Korea obviously has a huge scene in esports. You look at StarCraft, you look at League, you look at, any kind of other esport. There's obviously big Korea teams now, and because of the recent changes in the scene, they're going to have more and more of a presence across the world. But it was cited, why are they so good? And it's because they build infrastructure. They have those kind of PC, are they called PC bangs? I think the term is.
Yes.
They have those PC bangs. They're very common, very prevalent. They have built in by the government proper, decent connections all across the board. Whereas other countries, unfortunately, don't have that same setup, don't have that same build. And that is one of the things that leads to the success, is how good the infrastructure is for the players to be able to build themselves in. And it causes things like this. And C4 is going to cause the end of Jittery.
Yes, the internet was absolutely what led to that C4 getting the kill. That's the way it plays out. I mean, the most painful part there was they had someone sat in this window where Dagger is right now, and Nos literally C4'd the player on Wolf window, ran across, and still, in fact, that's Zombie window, I think. Tried to get the C4 across, tried to then run through, Nos did back towards site, and he got away with it. You should be guaranteeing a trade there at the very least, because the fact that Nos is still alive means that you haven't traded that back out, you've lost your Twitch player for nothing, and there's been nothing gained on the other side except for a few hit points taken off of Nos.
Now, as the approach starts to come through, they're looking to try and pepper bullets, through the legs of anyone that gets close to the vault wall. Pillar pops around the corner, and they pop anything and everything they can at the shield that's stacked up as Fatals. Pops a smoke canister and tries to buy themselves a little bit more time. UnionGaming can't quite walk onto the site this time, but they have gone for a different approach. Wamai catches one. The Malusi on the strategy table is going to be a big blow in cost, but there it is, blown, and no more cost left to pay.
They have the right idea as well, using grenades to try and clear people out from the very back of these sites. The problem is there are still these magnets around. Even with a Jaeger ban, it's not free to just go willy-nilly with these grenades and hope for the very best. But UnionGaming have got this two-side split, which I really like the look of so far. They're trying to draw attention towards two different sides, leave Live to Kill guessing with where the actual execute is coming through. And given Sparko's the one currently in possession, I think he's going to try and push elsewhere. Spray through the sofa to bring down one, but it's a 1 versus 4 fluke. Something tells me as good as the X7 might be, he's not quite this good.
Fortunately not. Live2Kill. They live another day and find themselves locked in onto the site that otherwise kind of slipped through their fingers before. And I think that was the main presence of the problems before, is they just got onto site. They ran through, found way more success than they otherwise probably could have and should have, and there was a bit of more of a meet and maker. There was a wall in place and in play, and there was an obstruction that they couldn't quite just run through and throw the diffuser down, but now they're onto their third site. Dining room and kitchen is the pretty common opt for the positions here for them to play. Let's see if they can have a little bit more success and continue the roll, because to be fair, losing one attack on the Villa defense is actually, for a lot of teams, standard with how hefty this map can be on your defense side and with how tough it can be to get any presence on your attack.
Make the right call here and heading downstairs. Well, the only call they can make, it had to be here or Living and Library, given we'd now won those top two sites back-to-back, Trophy and Statue in round 2 and Aviator Games in the site just a second ago. This is the site that I said earlier on, Fluke, you would expect the attacking team to win, the off-site. The one where the defenders maybe don't feel as comfortable. There's a lot of vertical play. And I think there's some acknowledgement of that on UnionGaming side. Yes, they've already brought it along previously, but you're looking towards the grenades coming out of the sledge here, out of the Iana for above. They are your main tools to be dealing with any kind of utility that's thrown up by the other side. There's nothing really to worry about, I think, in terms of bulletproof gadgets, but no doubt what you're going to be looking for early on is Skipper on this Pulse. I spoke about EX7 earlier on in the broadcast and how he played Pulse for the majority of the last major. Absolutely terrorized teams. Makes sense that we're seeing it being brought along here for Live2Kill. Where I have a couple of question marks is that there is only one C4 available to them. If you are expecting this vertical play to come through, this is just screaming at me that we're going to see a lot of roaming up on the top floor coming out of members of Live2Kill. Otherwise, there just really isn't all that much denial against them taking control of top floor outside of that single C4.
Well, now as the presence starts to pop, the wall that becomes the big angle that locks it down. UnionGaming have sometimes got a little bit stuck into where they want to hold and things have cost them, but they're making sure that they do everything quickly. The importance of pace in Villa is so apparent, especially when it's been a very low plant game anyway, and other maps that have historically been a little bit more aggressive, which is, every single map. Then Villa, JV. Going for an underneath clear and seeing if he can catch anybody as Dagger, the new player, and the Ayana is looking to try and pop somebody and pop some presence into this game before they get themselves popped themselves.
I think Skipper must have an idea. There's a couple outside. If he's against that far right wall, he'll know 2 players are playing out towards the east and looking to come pushing in on that side. And no doubt also, the awareness is there that this vertical play is going to be a thing, and this is what I was talking about. If they haven't got the C4s on side, you've got to play on the top floor and play for the roam. They take that into account, and Nos gets a kill. Immediately traded out not long after, mind you, but bringing down that sledge when you need those vertical angles, that is so crucial, because now all you can rely on is IQ with those breaching charges to open up the floor for you. That's going to make things a lot easier for the defenders to still move around. They won't be as restricted. Really good roam coming out of L2K, and the lack of awareness from UnionGaming.
Now then, as the Pulse is trying to pop as much information as possible from anybody that might be around and above them, they otherwise can't quite find the C4s, which haven't had the biggest success so far. The second almost does beat. Goes so low, but low isn't gone, and Beat isn't gone either. He's a big player that's been a big presence throughout all of this playdate so far. Dagger, however, the fresh face is looking to try and lean in with the freshness of the laundry that is currently basked and surrounded in. He doesn't quite have the comfort and the clean whites so far, as he's already taken a bit of a bullet and a bludgeon of damage to the shoulder, but the swing comes through and then goes back. Doesn't have the confidence yet. Still waiting for the clear from above. Oh no, there's Fatal, fatally caught by a little bit of a drift to a little bit of a wide situation. There's the second. Dagger swings round and rewarded with the pick of the head, and Blank finds Jittery 3-2, 40 seconds.
Another one coming in as well. Triple kill for Dagger. Now he's popping off on this doorway, trying to step forward. Finally brought down by Blank, who got behind him somehow. Has managed to sneak his way in, but Spark goes behind to make sure that trade comes back his way. UnionGaming taking round number 4 off the back of Dagger, doing some incredible work from standing in this doorway.
Just locked it down there. And obviously the first reward and the first catch was good. It was, they knew where he was and they swung it. The second of the man that sprinted across the room, that's a mistake. That's a slip up. Sure, it was a great catch and a great kill. And I know sometimes in this game, the perspective of which way people are looking might not truly align. It looks like he wasn't paying attention to the laundry door. He may as well have been, but unfortunately, putting yourself out to that level, well, it led to the result that we saw.
Beautiful stuff. And like I say, round to round things are changing, where in previous rounds it might be live to kill, being the one swinging, playing more aggressively. There it was Dagger being willing enough to step inside the site itself and say, look, you really want to challenge towards this doorway, I'm not half peeking this angle, I'm committed to watching you if you try and peek onto me. And a little bit maybe of a lack of awareness coming out for live to kill. I was quite worried for a while because UnionGaming spent so much time droning the actual basement. I thought, no one's down there. You know the Pulse is on site. You've literally seen him throwing C4s at you, so why are we still looking on the downstairs? I think that's part respect from UnionGaming, being so fearful of the roam implications from live to kill, but also maybe being overcautious. Like, you should know with what you've got that you can deal with this. The Nomad coming out in this round probably a lean towards that and saying, look, we don't want to spend half the round droning out across the entire thing. Villa is a big map, so the most we can do here is look to cut off some stairways and keep things a little bit simpler like that.
Unfortunately, a disconnect is a big problem. The first we've seen live to kill suffer all day so far, and an unfortunate time for it to happen when you're on the situation where I guess at least you still have the brick, the mortar, and the first site you held successfully today. It's still a blow because you've lost your smoke player, you've lost a big bit of utility. You look towards this bathroom now, and that is a very tough place to keep yourself under the true control of. Goyo's obviously there with some presence, but no C4, as that's already gone and opted and blown and unfortunately lost. They're trying to dig in now as much as possible. They're going to keep themselves, but as I said and saw, the fact they don't have that smoke canister counter to any approach from either of these sides, narrow corridors that are going to fall very quickly.
Smart choice by Jittery there once he'd blown out the shield. Didn't bother trying to challenge the player behind it. Instead got prone. Thought, look, I'm not even going to bother getting involved in that initial burst of aggression that we were expecting from Skipper, and keeps himself alive to boot. It is this 5 versus 4, so for UnionGaming, they can literally play this as slow and as composed as they want to. It's not like it's taken a minute and a half to get the opening kill. They've literally been gifted one by this disconnect coming through, as unfortunate as it might be for Live to Kill. But Skipper still manages to step forward. He doesn't care that the shield's been taken away from him. He just steps back into the doorway and gets another kill, but doesn't respect the peak. Jittery going aggressive, a second kill. And like that, Union Gaming have really put their foot down and said, no, this round is ours for the taking.
Well, Fatals is back, but it's potentially to watch the round fatally go out of their favor. 4 versus 1 now, as Nos is all that's left, but the droning is constant. Something we haven't really seen too much from before from the hands of Union Gaming. Well, it comes through there, led by the entrance and the aggression of knowing that they were a man up and the opponents a man, unfortunately, a very big one down. It was quick play, quick pace, and a quick round win to put them on a 3 split on their attacks on Villa. See, I'm in a situation now. I'm in a situation, Des, where I want to say that's very good for an average Villa, but the last time we kind of talked about this team being on Villa, it was 5-1 on their attack and 1-5 on their defense.
I think what I'm most... It raises quite a few. The one question I do have after that round, and I guess it's more of a observation than a question, is Skipper. Like, that shield got blown out. He took his initial spray and then back to win and thought, okay, cool, I play passive now. Let them have Master. It's not a problem. But Skipper goes, no, I don't care if I don't have a shield. I still want to challenge. And he re-peeks the Master doorway 2 or 3 times and even finds a kill. And this is something I commented on earlier, I think, is that I'm always thinking ahead when Union Gaming, if they do go on to win this and win the final and get to SI, how are you going to deal with teams that, if you're trying to play aggressive and go for this re-peak, EU and NA teams, I think, are going to be able to expect that. They will drone you out once the shield is gone. They'll make sure you've backed off, else you can guarantee someone is going to be sat there holding that angle and daring you to go for a second peek. They keep on getting away with it because I guess it's not aptly punished. And for Union Gaming, I'd love to see some crossfires set up here. Their response was jittery, go hyper-aggressive, crouch walk towards that doorway and kill him as he goes to the kill onto you for a second time. Was well responsed, but it's very, very aggressive between both sides here. And I guess it's a case of you have to match firepower with firepower rather than dialing things back a little bit and trying to play a little bit slower.
Now, as landing starts to be locked down, they're going to opt for AVG. A poor opening led to a pretty good pickup their second time round, and I guess the third is their only hope at keeping an even split. 4-2 on the split. Oh, that kind of leads to a bit of disaster there. Blank locked in with the Warden. Has eyes on the potential of any of these smoke plays, which, to be fair, smoke plants, pretty attemptedly consistent, but I don't think I've seen a successful one today.
I quite like it because in the last round there were a number of flashes coming out, to be fair, as well. Like when players were sat behind shields, they were being flashed out. Best way to deal with that, just bring a Warden along and be ready to make sure you've got those glasses ready to go. Cool guys don't look at explosions. They also don't care about flash grenades, apparently. So for him, it lets him play in a bit more of a rooted position and be more solid. When that utility dump does come through, pop them on and you can deal with anyone coming charging into Aviator. So I like the response coming out. Whether or not it's going to work or not is a different question. At the very least, you've got that C4 good to throw out whenever you feel like it.
Well, now they're able to try and find the approach here. Iana is going to lead in and hopefully lead the charge. The pace from Union Gaming is strange to say that it seems to be the quickest across the 3 maps we've seen. And I guess it's a heck of a team talk that happened over the split for them realizing that we can't let this go through. Now, it obviously didn't start in the best way. The swap out of a player leads to a different story. But yet again, a grenade doesn't lead to a kill. We're seeing them played so close to the punch, but unfortunately they just quite haven't been able to manage and mark the hits. Again, the bandit charges stay standing.
Wrong side. Yeah, first to try and catch the player who was behind a little bit of debris. The second time, very different story. It turns more into catching the grenade just on the wrong side of the wall so the explosion doesn't go through, doesn't destroy those bandit charges.
Skipper gets one there as Dagger suffers, as does any of the presence here as they try and push across the main stairs. The angle swings round as they look for the body on the other side of the smoke canister, but it's EX7 that's going to rotate underneath and try and apply the pressure from beneath as Jittery puts it on from the front. They've actually pulled all the way back with Skipper applying some pressure at the bottom of the stairs. The C4 pops off. Sparko does too. As now it's a little bit more stress. Fatals holding the door and waiting for any push that might come down the corridor itself, but it seems like they're setting up for a study take instead. Burning the ADS over the top to make sure that there's nobody keeping an eye because they need to get rid of these charges and they do not have really any utility left to do it with. There it is, 2 bodies, 1 shield and no one left. Live to kill. Find themselves a third round.
Not a woeful spot to be in, but we did comment back at the end of round 2 as we went into the rehost that, hey, if we can see Union walk away with a couple of rounds here, you feel quite comfortable going into your defensive half. They've got 3. And in fact, I want to say, let me go back and check, that every single map in this series has been 3-3 at split. Yeah, it has. It's been 3-3 at the half in every single map.
I mean, it's a strange pace that these two teams are setting it. And I guess it boils down to the questions and development of, and this is in no way meant to reflect a lack of strategy, but the strategy is let's get in and get aggro for both these teams consistently. We're not seeing burns on ADSs, shield pushes and takes in the traditional manner that you're used to seeing in the current meta. You're not seeing pocket plays. You're not seeing them try and clear just a bit of space around Vault Door, bait out some utility, keep landing and get themselves in on the plant. You're not seeing that. You're seeing them go, well, here's where people are. Okay, that's more than enough. I'm gonna go fight them.
So it's just a back and forth nature of it that leaves me in constant question of what do you expect round to round. The fact that it's been 3-3 the whole way through just goes to show the coin flip nature of the game, what player pops off, what happens to really give one team such a huge lead. But having said that, UnionGaming on the last map, they were 5 versus 3 in one of the rounds. They found the opening 2 kills and still managed to give it away. So it is a real like bloodfest here between both sides. It's really hard to call which way either round goes. Skipper can just pop off and do things that only Skipper seems to be able to do on the defensive side. We'll see what he can do now that he's on the attacking side with that buck.
Now as the drones start to make their way in and they try and get a handle on the control, live to kill. One of the things that we've seen and cited about this team is if they see an opportunity, they take it. But also at the same time, if you look at what has been the blows for UnionGaming, is sometimes they get a little bit too aggressive on their roam. They leave space, and space is something that Live to Kill love to thrive inside of. Now as they try and pick and pull apart this roam game, Jittery being up to his name on the door and swinging and pulling back and pushing forward and just trying to find a bit of a confrontation here, as otherwise Fatals goes for a very different approach on the opposite side of the map.
Yes, more looking as to how the play comes in for EX7 here. I spoke a couple of times on the desks about how much he loves playing on the pulse. We haven't really seen him play all that much this series, but here he's getting a chance to be back on his most popular operator from the last major. And I commented on how we saw for UnionGaming, they were very happy to go and clear roamers and maybe didn't really drone them the best, but the intent was there. We need to see that from Live to Kill, because back on map number 1 on Cafe, that feels like a long time ago. It was something that I thought they fell short of quite a few times.
Fatals finds Jittery, the first off the board, and the roam game starts to suffer now as the close angles look towards the potential of anyone swinging on the opposite side of the strategy table. Jittery goes, at least he was already dead. I'm assuming there's a quick problem he wants to get rid of because obviously they've used their rehost. They have no other possibilities. So let's see where they can go from here. Jittery's back, and EX7, well, he's waiting deep. The Pulse is playing a game from far and far away, and he's looking for some presence, but otherwise hasn't been able to find any just yet. No pings, no peeks, and a minute on for them, still trying to find the clear. Just ops and misfires. The stun, not great, but at least not punished.
Self-stun if nothing else. They're obviously aiming to try and get rid of the identification. This time round it succeeds. I think after they failed with the frag grenades last time round, they thought, well, what's a bit more reliable? Impacts that tend to fire in a roughly straight line seems to be the play. Evened out. A 4 versus 4 turning into a 3 versus 4 very quickly with the pulse being picked off here before he can really have an impact in the round.
30 seconds now and a 4 versus 3. Skipper's going for a big rotate, and he's got to make sure it matters as he finds his way up towards 90. The diffuser's cold, and so is the possibility of them being able to pop it through. Wants to swing in and get a lockdown of control there, but it's Blank that actually finds Beat and gets the kill before. There's only so much holding from range you can do when you have 15 seconds. The Warriors late pushes, and the Warriors things like this. The swing comes through, and so do Sparko and Dagger, one apiece. The cover on the man, on the door, and the C4 through, and there it is! UnionGaming lock it off by the hesitation of L2K.
It's another one of those cases, I think, of over-aggression. You're in a 3 versus 2. You have a player looking to go for the default spot. You have 2 players left. So what do? You run into the room and challenge, or you just hold angles and look to cover your planter, shooting any C4s out the air. You would always say the second is the play to go for there, but instead they look to challenge into Vault with 2 different players, and the default planter gets C4'd as there is no one left to go for the cover. It's a little bit overbearing, I think, there from the side of Live2Kill. A little too keen to get all the kills on the board and to focus on the objective and making sure that the objective is covered as it's being placed down on the ground. I don't want to say it's a deserved loss, but it's definitely a slip up there that let Union steal that away from the jaws of defeat.
4-3, UnionGaming, and you keep yourself ahead, but only just. On a site that almost went away from you, the advantage was in Live2Kills, but unfortunately, as before, they suffered with time. The closest most of their rounds have come to is the clock being the be-all and end-all, and one of the things I said earlier, which I guess is one of those statements, is when they played their best in the final 10-15 seconds was when the person with the diffuser had died, and their only option was to push for kills. They would win those. And pretty consistently, that was the score. When they play for the objective in those dying 15 seconds, they keep losing them. And I said it before, and I'm still kind of in the camp of, I would love to see them just ignore the objective. It's a bold statement.
Forget about it. Just go for frags. I think what confused me in the last round was the work that Zofia did as well in making sure that Vault was able to be opened up, and then no one holds that angle into Vault, just meaning that the members of Union can sit there quite comfortably and say, well, you aren't going to force us out of here, so why would we move? It's a little bit of a weird focus for them. What I do like about this round, though, the one that we're now seeing on your screen, is the dining room is where we've now headed to for this site. You would normally expect a team in their second round to go towards Trophy and Statuary. I think a few teams in LATAM have started steering away from it and saying, actually, no, Trophy and Statuary is the offsite, or even for some of them, not being played at all. But you're seeing quite a unique setup with the castle being brought along by Sparko. He's got inside of Astronomy one of his castle barricades down, so a little bit of vertical play, I think, to come through here. In fact, it even screams to me they're trying to go for a full vertical hold themselves with shields being committed upstairs, maybe looking towards a mute jammer or two as well. Quite interesting.
It's like a vent hold on border. It's you set yourself up with the castles to stop that immediate approach. You have a little bit more give and a little bit more room and a couple of more angles with a lot of soft floor, so you can keep control. You don't have to put everything up there, but a fair few reinforcements and a couple of castle walls, and you've suddenly got yourself a pretty good external turtle hat that just kind of wears proudly and keeps your head a little bit safer.
Yeah, I think when they're not really looking to play for the vertical angles here, Live2Kill, and I guess given there is a sledge on side and a book, you would say they absolutely are. But in historical rounds, like we've seen over the last couple of maps, vertical play isn't really their forte. That seems to be more UnionGaming's bag. But here, if you know they're not going to look for it, why not try and take advantage of that? Or if they do go to try and do so, just try and waste the time a little bit. And I think, in fact, here, Jittery's putting on his best impression of what we saw of Skipper earlier on. In fact, no, I lie. I think it was Nos, who was holding inside of Master, ready to contest anyone who came pushing onto the second floor. So I'm keeping a very close eye on these roamers coming out from UnionGaming and just how much damage they can do to members of Live2Kill when they start trying to assume control of the top floor.
Big angles being pressured from above. They know that that is the big be-all and end-all potentially, as all the eyes are on that entrance in the staircase. And Sparko, well, he's looking to try and put the pressure and the fire back towards the person that's looking around the wine barrels. Nos is the first, but EX7 gets the instant as they find the trade and find the mute. He's off the board, but so is Zafir, and she can't quite find the full stretch of her abilities. The head is close, but two are close to blank. Gets a quick double on the backside, and suddenly the dagger is the only one left. And now not even him. Everything handed inside. Red corridor and long, and it all fell to Blank, who was just uncontested.
I've really got to give a nod to Blank. There have been a few times over the last couple of maps, especially 3 or 4 rounds, where in either the mid round or in the late clutch, he has just completely dominated the other side. I referred back to round number 2 on Clubhouse quite a few times where he was held inside of dirt, and he got pushed by Union, but still killed them all one after the other. Wasn't a problem. Admittedly, maybe some drone issues involved in the push, but it's still on Blank to go so aggressive and then force himself outside into construction to try and aggress onto meat. The guy is so happy to get involved in the mid-round and just try and force kills over to his team's side, even if it involves a bit of risk, because the payoff versus the reward, for him at least, seems to be absolutely massive.
Wow, 4-4, and if you wanted a full stretch game, this is one that's definitely shaping up to be. As you said, 3-3, every single split so far, and there's still no splitting these two teams. I think out of all of the games so far, only twice we've seen 3 rounds get strung together. And otherwise, from that point onwards, it's, I guess, still standard, still steady, and still just back and forth bitterly as both teams claw on to any hope of, well, the final, but also for UnionGaming, hope of SI. You don't just have to get through this team, you've also got your old rivals Mercenaries too.
Imagine if you're watching this game now as Mercenaries, who 2-0'd, admittedly a stronger Moncaress earlier on. You're stepping into a spot where you're looking at this and going, man, look at the mistakes that are coming through round after round, the lack of droning, the over-aggression, the timing issues. There's so much they can look at here and abuse coming into Sunday. And I know in the last time we saw these two teams play in the final of the last major, it was Mercenaries who fell down 3-0 to UnionGaming, who of course are now in that spot to go to SI. But I think having seen both teams play so far today, I'm feeling a lot more confident about Mercenaries' capabilities than I am about Union.
Oh yeah, that's the split as well if you're looking at it. It's not just when you see a team struggle against a team they might have underprepared for. It's those fundamentals that are across the entire game that you don't specifically prepare against an opposing team. They're things that otherwise just don't come through. Like Beat, who gets shut down. The Kaid's off the board, caught by Fatals from underneath, I believe. That was dropped from a reverse vertical. No, where's the body? Where's the man? Where's he died? No idea.
Even Medics is utterly perplexed, and he's normally the man who has a car. There you guys found it.
There he is. Dug in on the corner.
He just can't miss anything. Like Medics normally, I'm always like, you just say something and he knows exactly where it happened, what the angle was, what time of the day it was when it happened. Like the dude is just like a living machine when it comes to catching these things. And I genuinely thought we'd thrown him for 6 then for the first time.
There's 1 or 2 moments where he'll miss something and he'll go, what the heck? Oh, there it is. And then he'll just find it in whatever his voice is. And you guys don't, unfortunately, get to hear his little witticisms as he's observing. But I promise you, he does his best to distract us with all the funny, weird stuff he says. 4-4, though, as we find ourselves in the split, pushing around Mudroom and trying to apply the flat pressure as they look towards any presence that are otherwise swinging round. There's the drop on the body, there's a quick trade, and there's a man almost caught over the shoulder. Jittery, but Skipper gets 2. The Buck making sure he finds his way through anything and anyone that gets anything close to it. And with a minute long, 4 versus 2, Fatals is going to put the diffuser down, or at least try to. There's nobody to instantly respond to this, though, as Sparker was a bit distracted by another body above. There it is. The earliest the plant has ever gone down, and Jittery goes down as well. Sparko has everything to do, and unfortunately nowhere left to do it. Live to kill. Pull themselves ahead.
The irony as well of a castle at the very bitter end of things, having to destroy his own castle barricade to get through to the site. Unfortunate, but that was another really good round from Liv2K when it came to the fragging department, taking full control of the site very, very quickly. Kind of that lull towards the end, but then still the commitment to go for the plant, knowing the members of UnionGaming were not able to respond in time. And that pace, that aggression, I think is the massive advantage they seem to have over UnionGaming so far. That puts them at 5-4. They're in a spot where if they take this next round, they're at match point, and they dash the hopes of UnionGaming making it to the major. To the major? To SI.
To,
at the major now.
This is the major. To a different major. Later on, if you didn't read the memo, go read it. There's a memo about it. There's patch notes about real life. Weird, right?
Imagine.
Imagine having notes to update what you can and cannot do. What a crazy world that would be. AVG, we find ourselves set up in. Buck's back, and I'm sure Hap's a little bit sad he can't be here because his favorite thing, I think, is a Buck entry.
Wasn't he having a real salt fest yesterday about no Buck or something?
He loves it.
He was really salty about it. Some player didn't play Buck and he was really upset. And he even got asked in the interview, why no Buck?
I think it was a Xavier player.
Yeah, I think it was.
I'm trying to remember the name off the top of my head. I can't. And I'm sure he's fuming about that as well.
Absolutely seething. I know he's not here right now because the internet is going a little bit messy, but his ears are burning. He knows we're talking about him and his love for Buck. The thing is, I'm kind of the same. Like, since Gorgona from Kavana played it a lot in EUC, I even messaged him and was like, why do you guys love it so much? And he explained to me quite simply, he's like, the skeleton key, when you're trying to open a wall in front of you, it often catches people completely by surprise that you can just open a wall with no recoil animation afterwards like a sledge has. There's no wind up. You can do it from distance. It's much safer. And the guns are really good. I mean, we've already seen the DMR in action today and the amount of damage it was doing. 69 damage per shot in like 0 to 25 meters. Most gunfights you will take vertically are going to be 0 to 25 meters. So a couple of shots and someone's down, if not dead. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's become a specialist operator. Obviously, since the frag grenades got removed and he lost them and he can't quite find them again, well, he's got to have another role. And in the hands of a role of an entry, in the hands of a role of a player like Gorgona, it is a ferocious kind of entity. Now, though, EX7 dug in, stuck towards 90 and is trying to hold onto the position as best as he can, waiting for any approach. He has long that he can move and manipulate around, and they're supposing that they need to try and keep the control here, but here comes the pressure onto landing. Throw your minds and your memories back. At this point, there was already bodies down in the floor. Live to Kill were able to put a little bit more pressure on and find some of the roamers. This time round, no real roam extension. They have a very steady standard hold here, and they're going to try and rely on Live to Kill's struggle when it comes to these slow, hefty attempts at executions.
It's not quite last chance saloon yet for Union, but it's starting to feel like it. Knowing that, again, if you lose this round, it goes to match point. You start to sweat a little bit. Good start to the round, mind you. 1 minute and 15 seconds left, and no one has actually died, so there's no early engagements being taken. There's no over-aggressive peaks, as we've seen, especially on Clubhouse. Getting members caught out in positions where they really shouldn't be. And as previous, you're also going to be seeing EX7 playing likely with this pulse to try and get them some information on what's going on. You've got the IQ downstairs, and in the first half, Union made good use of this at the same time, but it left them with about 30 seconds to go for their execute, and that was what really came back to hurt them. The fact the IQ is only just getting things cleared out, and we're only just starting to see Live to Kill getting into power positions, that makes me worry a little bit, Fluke.
Well, Jittery gets to the first. I'm going to comment on that Kaid claw in a second, but let's get the third now.
There's no impacts left from the Zofia, by the way. He's done. Like, he can't blow shields up. He's just wasted both into a magnet.
Wasted both, and this is the big cost and the big burn we talked about before with these players. Is sure, they ban Jaeger, but you still got to play around the existing Wamai. You still got to play around that burn meta that is so prevalent and pertinent in every single approach. Now you have 20 seconds, and Skip has decided this is when he needs to go for an external rotation to study. It's not the best decision, because by the time he even gets into study and through the door, he won't have anywhere left to go. The diffuser is cold. Nobody is anywhere close to being able to get it. It's a 5 versus 1 situation. And if we talk about walls being the make or break for Live to Kill, well, they had no way of surmounting that one.
I'm just very perplexed. When you know there's no Jaeger on side and there's probably going to be 3 or 4 magnets on the board, you have a Buck who's got 3 flashes. Why aren't you taking the Buck along to go and push key angles to go and burn those out first? Why is the first thing you're using your impacts? You even have 2 concussions you can make use of as Zofia just to make sure it's clear for the impacts to go through, but they couldn't clear a shield out. They didn't get the wall opened up on 90 after they tried for so long to clear the Kaid Electroclaw out. Just nothing really seemed to go the way of the attackers there, I think. And again, this is that kind of raw, uncontrolled aggression I'm always speaking about there, where they are so keen to get things done that there's often crucial mistakes made along the way.
About that Kaid Claw. They went for it twice. It wasn't in a position where they could get it. It was on the other side of the brick wall. So they believed it would be buried in against the wall inside the armory, inside the vault, but it was actually on the billiard side. It was hooked up in the top corner, and I guess that's one of those moments of they're putting a lot of dedication. Thank you, medics, for showing exactly where it was. So they were getting the read, and they were trying to fire into a brick wall, and they were putting a lot of time into that, and it's just one of those moments where if you're dedicating so much towards it, you had the angle open and you couldn't see it, and you still had the idea that it was up there. At that point, you've got to start looking for a plan B. You're dedicating too much time to the possibility of trying to get your plan A to work, and it leads to that 10-second last second rotations.
Imagine being that frazzled by an Electroclaw as well. Like, that is the reason why you just simply could not gain the access that you were looking for. I think in the end they did get it. To be fair, it took them a lot longer, but when it actually came around to execution time, that wall was open, because that's when we saw the attempt from JV coming out to push Sparko, but the C4 had already been thrown through it by that point. So it's the small things, again, the time wasting, the deliberation, the uncertainty in their attacks that's really costing them, and whether or not they got the Electrocore early or not was kind of irrelevant. It was the fact that it took them up about 2 minutes of time to even figure out how to get step 1 done as part of that attack.
Now Sparko playing on the opposite side and just trying to swing round as he actually pulls back towards the site itself. They're opening up underneath. Obviously, we saw them go for the vertical play on the previous takes when the site was below. Now it's above, and they're still playing the verticality. With the clash back on the board as well, Dagger has the possibility to rotate into Astro and try and apply this flat pressure behind the Banshee. Oh, look, there she is, right on time. Which is strange for a British operator, but hey, there they are, and there they go. Still moving, still trying to find some space.
Yeah, not really great with our timekeeping here. Buses, trains, people, me included, we're all terrible at it. But hey, she's right where she needs to be, right in good time. What I think I like about this most was historically on this site at least, we've seen Skipper when he was the one on defense being really hyper aggressive, if you remember, with the shield. Just kind of sat on the master doorway looking to cause some trouble. And then once it was blown out, hey, he was still there to peek an extra 2-3 times. He really didn't care about the risk. Whereas here with the Clash, at least, you have a shield, you can move back and forth. You can afford to be aggressive. When you feel that the heat's getting a bit too high, you back away. And even looking at these magnets scattered around, even if impacts are to come flying through, they'll just get swallowed by those magnets, and the Clash can just stand here happily feeding information back to the rest of the team.
Well, Skipper's looking exactly for that Clash. They want to try and find the presence, but now they've got the pick that she's on the opposite door. So they want to try and swing in and put that flat pressure against it. There goes most of Beat's health, but he's still standing. Yet again, another frag grenade doesn't quite catch its marker, and now you're all out of them. So now you've got to try and put your push, but you still have 3 flashes. I guess it's still one of those situations if they're not quite burning them, they're not quite running against the Wamai and making sure those charges suffer. They're looking towards the shield on the far side, but again, you're concerned about those Zofia charges that might try and pop over if they just get caught. There go the stuns to make sure that there's no Wamais, but it's all under the Clash right now on the split door. Dancing around the bedroom as they see one body go to the opposite side, wants to try and wait and bait and get the angle. If anyone swings onto them, even if being zapped, they might be able to do something with it, but unfortunately Fatals does nothing. The X7 is the one to get the trade, and there's Nos on the opposite side, takes care of Jittery. There's the Clash struggling and struggled out. Knocked out of the board. Beat gets Nos in the meantime, and Sparko gets one back. It's a 2 versus 2, though, as suddenly there's a trade all the way around the corner. There's the close corner. There's the close pick. There's EX7 with just one more. Pre-fires and pops some pellets of shield towards it, but otherwise knows that the split is on either side. Might not know the man close on the left. Looks the wrong way. Somehow gets past him and somehow gets the kill. Only 3 seconds. There's the second man lying on the floor.
Oh, everyone's playing stop, drop, and roll, I think, because everyone was laid down there, and every single engagement he came into did well to deal with the first, but simply didn't expect EX7 to quite literally be hiding in plain sight. And that round, I think, was a great example of the battle between these two teams. UnionGaming with the opening 2 kills, playing it perfectly. Sat behind shields, the Clash feeding information back and forth, making sure basically they had control of what L2K were doing. Then what happens next? Nos bursts his way up red stairs, kills 2 from seemingly nowhere in a 2 or 3 second window, and the whole thing just falls to absolute calamity right up until that final kill. That seems to be how most rounds have gone. UnionGaming come in with a plan. You'd have to see the other side step in and go, there is no plan here, welcome to chaos, and then it descends into what we've seen so far. A back and forth bloodshed that is now at 6 and 5. L2K need to win here to keep themselves in with a chance of going to overtime and stopping UnionGaming from proceeding to the final. But UnionGaming, if they close this out here, they go through to that final against Mercenaries.
Dining is the final dance that will be made here, and it's the one that has otherwise struggled in the hands of UnionGaming. 2 attempts, 2 losses, and then, well, only 1 round is all that is needed. Have they learned enough of a lesson to make things land this time round? The change, Clash is kept on the board.
Don't blame him. It worked so well last time, and there was very little appetite from L2K to actually deal with it, I felt. Even with the Zofia on side, I mentioned about the magnets. I don't know if they just droned it out and thought it's just not worth the effort, like just ignore it and try and shoot past her. But they never once really committed any utility to trying to bring the Clash down. So if you know it works, then hey, why not go for it and do it again? It could arguably exactly be the same approach here with the mirror. You're seeing that being brought out by UnionGaming, a team that I believe historically has banned it away quite a lot. I know that Mercenaries do too. But here, if they're making use of it, you need to get that vertical control. You need to be that death from above onto those mirror windows. Otherwise, they can absolutely pace you coming into the dying seconds of the round.
The approach from the drone is quite quickly, and they're looking towards anyone that might be close. And this is the pace that we've wanted and, I guess, seen applied by Live to Kill before. No, I didn't mean to hit that castle. I meant to hit the wall first. What are you talking about? As he knocks it through. Sparko's the one that's pushed further and further back, has the ability to drop out the hatch, that's why you keep it open, so you have an escape route if you need to. The pressure's coming from this side, but Sparko's actually found his way all the way to Astro Stairs. Pre-firing as he leaves, tail tucked, but still standing, still healthy, and still a problem that they'll have to deal with down below.
We'll give a nod to Live to Kill here, where their focus on the vertical has been really good. They haven't looked to rush into things or contest angles as soon as there might be a rotate coming through. Instead, they've just kind of sat back, got the drones in, made sure they're taking things step by step and not looking to rush. First mirror window, I just heard them being blown out as well, so nothing to worry about there. I think it was the one on the upstairs, right? Rather than the... Wait, where's that one gone? Do you not bother? No, he didn't. Okay, fair enough. I thought he would have stuck one downstairs, but chose to move away and instead put it facing down towards the south instead. Okay, interesting.
You know, it's one of those plays of Mira here where they've stuck her in to offer some angle. I think they want to slow Live to Kill. And I think they want to offer a little bit of concern on Live to Kill's approach, because that's when L2K played their worst, is when they're like, okay, how do we take this wall? Mira is the worst wall to try and take for teams that are not only a bit slow with that, but also uncoordinated with utility. Hey, who's that? Oh, it's Live to Kill.
Just always lurking, always ready. They've still got 2 C4s on side as well, mind you. 50 seconds left to play. You have to start worrying about the impact they can have as you get towards these dying moments. It's still the 5 versus 5 as well. It all comes down to a 10-man bloodbath here with very little time remaining. Finally seeing that wall opened up thanks to the Selmas coming through. But here we go. This is where we should start seeing the execute happen, because at 30 seconds left, you leave very little room for error to come out here. And they still haven't dealt with everything from above that they wanted to. I feel like Live to Kill is starting to leave this far too late, Fluke.
That's it, and that seems to be the unfortunate story that they've been able to live in and amongst so many times. Skipper gets Dagger, at least on the entrance. That's your Clash gone, but Beat finds Blank on the far side. That's the pinch push that came out so big before. The canister goes down, and they have some offer of support. They don't know on EX7, who swings in and swings close, and he's allowed to get all the way. Goes for the pickup, tries to go for the plant, can't get the animation, there it is, and there's the puck, and there's Nos. It's all down to Jittery, he gets one, swings round, and he can't quite find the next, there it is, a little bit too late, the diffuser is planted. It's a 1 versus 2 with Fatal still on the floor, it's now a 1 versus 1, all down to Nos, as he has to hold on and keep the lock off. He dropped down to offer some last second support, and he's dropped all the way into the middle of the room. He's popping up and pre-firing every angle, and he finally catches it, Live to Kill. Somehow clutch a messy plant and find success to find OT.
So messy when you have members of UnionGaming charging at you from 2 or 3 different angles. One goes down, starts rezzing him and goes, oh no, wrong idea. Need to go and stick the plant. They manage to get away with it. It does come off and it comes down to a 1 versus 1. Unbelievable. Talk around living life on the edge here, boys. We're going to overtime. There's 3 rounds to determine who goes through to the final. You could not drive a wedge between these 2 teams. That's just how close it has been.
That's another 3-3 half, Des.
Once more.
Another one for the books. AVG. UG, you're starting on your defense. You've been entirely successful on your defenses on this site. It was the start and it was shaky. It was the second and it was flawless. I believe the only flawless round either of these 2 teams have been able to pull all day was their second AVG hold. So this could be a good moment for them to really set themselves up yet again to be on map series point.
Unbelievable. And naturally you choose Aviator and Games as the starting sites where most teams will head given the opportunity and choice of all 4 sites on Villa. I don't actually know what the rates look like in terms of defense or success on this one as well, but it just seems to be where most teams gravitate because they feel the most comfortable. And I guess understandably, I think it has arguably the least variables for the defensive side and what it is you need to deal with. Whereas you look towards something like Trophy, that Astro hold can get really, really messy, especially when you start considering the vertical plays that come into it at the same time. So hey, here we go. No mute Mozzie on side. There is the Mozzie for EX7, so opting to step away from playing on that Pulse. Probably doesn't want to look to be roaming with the Pulse, but instead wants to do so with the Mozzie. It's a little more fluid. You can move around a little bit more comfortably. And I guess less reliance on, drones potentially spotting you out. When you're on the Pulse, you're constantly looking skyward. You're not always aware of what's going on in different doorways and corners of the room. So I acknowledge it as being a pretty good choice. But you are looking towards those 2 shields and 3 C4s on the side of Union to play this denial game.
Well, learn to kill, live to kill. Have you learned to kill with pace as you try and look towards the approach that you need to make happen here? You're steadily droning, steadily trying to pick apart the holds, and Nos is already in a position where he might be able to apply the pressure towards anyone that gets close. The hold on 90, there's a default cam, thank you. Finally drops it and finally stops it. That could have been a monumental swing if the information had come through. Union have been bold on their approaches before, but Blank has been bolder as Sparko is the first off the board. The Kaid buried deep and now buried in the ground as Jittery is trying to hold on to long as much as possible.
I think here the worry is that for UnionGaming, L2K have got in power positions far too quickly. They didn't expect to find Nos already sniffing around the door here so aggressively. And given where they've currently got, they need to clear the one out of main stairs. I think that's Jittery going down around there. No, main stairs still alive, but 90 is cleared. 2 in vault, 1 on main stairs. This is a really uncomfortable position for Union to be in now, where they really don't have much flexibility.
Well, another one goes down, and with JV on the floor, this could just be a pickup. They go for the plant, and the C4 catches only one of the 2. The diffuser's down as well, though. Look at that situation. A single C4 is able to swing a lot of the round in. Luckily, they have a huge amount of time to try and do something else here but with the lock-off, that confirms it, and with Blank locking one off, it puts them in a 3 versus 1. A man is still down, giving as much intel as possible, but Blank caught in the middle of the room. EX7 with a quad kill. Could have the ace to lock themselves in on this situation now. The Mozzie is looking for it, and they find it! The last time here was a flawless. The third is the ace.
I was warming myself up to once again commend Blank there on the 3 kills that he found, how he took charge of the round and put L2K in a massive numbers advantage. But then you see EX7 pull off some wizardry like that. Man, they were pinned inside a vault. There was nowhere they could go, and you start thinking, man, surely 2 in vault, 1 on main stairs. You isolate the player on main stairs, you hold angles onto those inside a vault, and there is nothing that they can do. But somehow, Union break free of that stranglehold. They pull off absolute magic and put themselves on series point to go to the final.
What a moment to get an ace. I suppose, what a moment to be the
time
first
to get one.
The time. I believe the first player of the day to get an ace. Oh, ICE. I don't know. Did anyone get an ace in ICE? Were you awake?
We did have an ace earlier on, but it was clouded over by a flawless round.
Ah, that's the way the cookies crumble. Well, yes. 7-6 UnionGaming, but only just. And to me, live to kill, that was your round, and you just kind of let it slip away. You had a minute 15. You had a 5 versus 2, albeit maybe a 4 versus 2 situation, and instead of recouping, recounting, using your drones, and maybe even trying to get the remaining player up, you went for an execute. You went for a plant where only 2 players were in the position to keep that plant secure, and both of them were stood next to each other in C4 range. I get it. You saw an opening behind the strategy table, and you wanted to take it, but... And I know it's an easy thing for me to say, sat here watching at home and none of the stress of being one of the players in this make or break game. Sometimes you have to take a breath, a beat, and realize just what you have working for you.
What I will commend them on is they've made that mistake previously where they did go charging for the frags and just got completely shut down in the 1v1s that ensued. Whereas here they went for a plant and tried to cover the angle and deny the C4s. But that C4 couldn't quite shoot it out in time. It went off and killed the 1. The planter was then injured. So really, it was, all intents and purposes, a double kill coming out of that C4 from EX7. Massive moment in that round, and literally where you can pin the loss of that round on, I think.
Exactly, and it happened with a minute 15 left in the game. They had so much time to try and recoup and try and just restructure. So in that situation, if that happened, maybe they had got someone onto study door to watch and swing on to the person that was in vault. Maybe they had somebody that was on, if study door was too hot property long, applying pressure from the opposite side. Either way, having the time waiting and getting a third person close enough, it could have been their round, and it should have been in a lot of people's books. Blank is holding a very aggressive hold there and potentially wanting to do a bit of a cheeky run out the opposite side of a Goyo shield and making sure he can still see through the slits. It is a dangerous game. There is no two ways about that, and he's opted for a bit of a rotation, and I think they've realized the entire UnionGaming push is coming from the bedroom side as they steadily clear and get control of the pillars and look down long. It's looking like a slow and steady Union approach.
The way it should be. We know they're the air quotes more composed to get a team here. The coach they've had, the length of time they've played together. Live to Kill have always had that X factor about them, the one that can cause an upset in a dying moment. In exactly the same way, ironically, the EX7 did just not too long ago. So I like taking it nice and slow here. No need to panic. Once again, these pesky gadgets can quite simply not be dealt with. So instead of the pistol goes, you know what, forget about it. Get out the big boy gun and get spraying.
Yeah, finally gets it. That did the trick, and the Selma starts to do the trick too. Bandit's there to catch it before it's able to do too much damage, but it still gets in, gets open, and gets an angle, which is going to make this a dangerous game to play. do not have a close enough impact to try and counter that, but oh no. Well, it's tough to play inside Vault right now, sure, but it's also tough to enter. That was a bit of a limp
bar in the
throw.
middle going to make it, so you have to basically you have to like crouch your way through at this point. So they can't just charge in and go ham as they might want to, but it does give some really good angles. So this, let's not forget, was the power position for EX7 in the last round. They've identified and gone, we cannot afford to have players sat in there. Let's make it happen. 15 seconds though, and kills have only just started coming through.
Now, and then as we hear the canisters popping on the opposite side, Beat pops and a shield goes too. Fatals find Sparko. It's a 3 versus 2. UG have the body advantage with only Skipper standing, and they're going to try and plant inside the smoke itself. There is the pickup. There is Union Gaming. And there is your second finalist.
My. It took a little bit of time. If I sounded distant, I was turning lights back on. It took a little bit of time, and it was definitely a hard-fought victory, but it is Union Gaming that come out on top. Admittedly, thanks to some big plays by EX7 in the previous round, else this could have gone the full distance. But I think that summarizes this series well. The back-and-forth nature of it has been absolutely exquisite. Would I say it's well-earned? I'd say it's well-earned between both teams because they put on one hell of a show today.
Now then, I guess it's one of those situations of Union, you got there, but my word, was the journey a little bit worrying, especially if you're a Union Gaming fan and you're looking at obviously the potential of SI points. And now you're looking at mercenaries, but that's a little bit later. Before we have that, we have a load of other things. Probably, weirdly, now I'm about to throw it to a desk where you are going to be there anyway. So here, it's more like I'm giving you the desk, and you can take it and go with it.
Oh, thank you. Is it this side? No, it's this side. I'll take it with me and I'll carry it right over here.
Cool.
There we go. Here you go, Milos. Here's your desk.